Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Finding Notice show. I believe we have Piggy here once again. Good to see you, Piggy. How are you doing, brother?
Oh man, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, same. Um, I'm all right. Just about. Yeah,
Nice to hear your voice, though. I've been a bit
yeah.
lonely
You too,
today,
man.
so I thought I'd come
You too.
keep you company a bit.
Nice one, nice one. Yeah. Shit. I think it's the old season changing. I've been feeling good because I was doing a bit of running the odd evening, and I didn't. I just didn't go yesterday or today. So it's horrible exercise because you get that little idea and you get that little buzz like that day and the next day, but then the day after it's not there. So
Yeah, yeah. I feel
you have to do it again. Yeah.
you
I
have
mean, I
pains.
usually I usually walk every day, like about 4 or 5 miles at least.
Oh damn.
But today I haven't really done much in terms of walking even. So yeah, I feel like yeah, I
Oh fair.
definitely I need to go for a walk at some point.
Well, I just worked 10 hours for Amazon,
Oh my
delivering
god.
in frickin' godforsaken farms in Northumberland, and
Wow.
I managed to bash my foot off the accelerator when I was getting in the van, so my my foot is absolutely killing me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I heard a story that there was some Amazon delivery driver like basically hijacked somewhere in the country this week.
They did
Um
what?
yeah, yeah. I think he was held at knife point or something. They robbed him,
Oh,
robbed the van.
fuck's
Yeah.
sakes. Oh, that's all I
So
need in my life right now.
mm, yeah.
I
I mean
just take
it's
it on the chin, to be honest. I don't care anymore.
yeah, just let it go. It's not worth your pay, and it's all it'll all be insured or whatever. But hopefully, it never happens.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I've just started, bro, but like, I've been out of work for a pretty long time and I'm pretty unfit. And
mm,
yeah, I just did 10 hours and I didn't even manage to deliver them all. Like, they just give you like so many packages. It's just,
really,
it's
really,
really insane. Like they wear those drivers to death. Like I don't know how anyone. It's got a high turnover, you know. I don't
yeah,
think a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah.
last very long. But
I think it's a fit man's job, and yeah,
yeah,
you can't do it forever. You know.
definitely. And I'm 40 almost, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling my age right now.
Mm. But it's good to be active at your age, doing a bit. And
Yeah.
so there's that side to it. You're not lifting
Uh,
anything really heavy.
eh, Pretty heavy for me. Yeah. Uh,
Some stuff would be, wouldn't it?
it's
Yeah.
it's good exercise though. It's like light exercise, I'd call it. But
Mm.
my body's not used to it because I'd been
10
into.
hours is a long old slog, isn't it? I've heard about
Oh
the
yeah,
you have to fill the van as well, don't you? So
yeah.
so basically you go in there, you throw all the parcels in, and you're throwing them in like in order as they're being delivered. Basically, isn't that the way they do it? And
That's the way it's supposed to work, and it's
yeah,
supposed to
because
have
yeah,
well
exactly.
be
But I
quite
imagine it's
easy.
quite hard to do that. I imagine it's quite hard
It
to do that,
is.
right?
Well, here's the problem. The first day was totally fine. I was in a ride along with someone else, so they sorted it. They showed me how to pack it. But then the next day, my manager helped me pack the van, and I don't know if it was my manager helping me pack it, or someone at the depot fucked up some numbers somewhere. But I had a bunch of packages left over, and I had to keep going in other bags which I wasn't supposed to go into yet. So the system just seemed to collapse as soon as I got onto the freaking shit. Um, Today it worked a little bit better, but for some reason I still had a bunch of leftovers. I don't know what's going wrong. I'm delivering all of the packages as it says on the app because obviously it's run on bloody smartphones. This app shit,
Hmm.
and it absolutely drains the crap out of your battery. So you have to have like a power bank too. But yeah, there's
All right.
something going wrong with the app. Maybe
Are you telling
I
me they
don't
don't
know.
give you? Oh, so you're not driving one of those vans, are you? You're doing it in your own vehicle, are you?
Oh no, I'm in one of those vans.
Are you
So
telling me they
I
don't give you a device? You have to do it on your own phone. Are you serious?
yeah, bro, my
Oh my
phone.
god.
I'm gonna use
That
my
that's
phone.
when you said the app on your phone, I was like, what? Because I presume
Yeah,
they gave you like an actual device to use at work. No, you
it
have to use
should
your own.
be. Yeah, yeah, it really should be. But I guess people are so addicted to smartphones, they'll just figure like, oh well, they'll probably have one. So yeah, I had one, but
I
mine's
mean,
not
it's
the
a major
newest.
cost saving. It's a cost saving measure, isn't it? By Amazon, in fairness.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, they employ companies, so I work for a company called Same Day, I'll not finish the name, but same day something, and they employ are employed by Amazon to go deliver packages for them. So I just got the bad news the other day that because I was so behind, just for being slower and not delivering all packages, they had less routes given to them. So my boss basically said in front of everyone today, all my colleagues, that I was the fault of why they're not going to have as
Wow.
much. Yeah, that was really
That's the
something.
corporate world.
Yeah, I'd never been treated like that though. Like even though I didn't feel really bad because I kind of deserved it. I've never been in a situation at work where I was the underperformer. Like that's never happened to me, and especially in a physical aspect. That's like I'm usually really good physically, like throughout my youth, but like now
Yeah.
I'm just an old man, bro. It just snuck up so quick.
Wow. There's life in the old dog yet.
Only a
So,
little.
other than that, have you had any views on reality or heard anything interesting since we last spoke about what might be going on, or any personal thoughts on it?
Can you be more specific? You mean like about life
Anything
in
and
general?
everything. It could be society, the workings of society, governance. Could be some kind of metaphysical thing,
Oh,
spiritual, whatever.
yeah, I don't know if you really got into much of my spiel, but mine's mostly kind of from a conspiratorial aspect. Not as conspiratorial as maybe the climate change guy that you had in here. But yeah, when it comes to society and how it's run, I think we're all being propagandized like daily, like relentlessly. I think women play a major part in control, like the mechanism for keeping the system going. Like they um, they
It
account
sounds
for like
spicy.
70% of the economy or something, you know. So that they have to really curtail all of their marketing and advertising towards women, and then through that, like I noticed, I don't know about your personal life, but girls always seem to have major control over me. Like I just want one. Just want to be around them. But like as far as families and like um marriages that I see, it just seems all to be catered to the woman. Like my dad was always working and she was never satisfied no matter how much he worked really. Um and yeah, I get that feeling with most people. I think marriages are just doomed to fail for the most part. Um and yeah, we're just being alienated against reality for the most part. I think like relationships trying to make them work. I think women hate men, and I think men hate women, and it's just like
Wow.
kept under the rug. Like, yeah, it's just the
Wow.
elephant in
You
the
you
room.
you've gone. Do you know what, Piggy? I didn't think you were. You were talking about love and and all this. A bit. Dare I
Well,
say it? Arty farty. But today you're gone. You're gone into dark mode, and
well,
yeah. What's brought all
I'm
this
still
on?
in.
I'm
I'm still
listening to
in.
you. I'm just gonna go and get a tasty beverage. I'll be right back. But I am
All
listening,
right,
so please feel free to do a stream of consciousness on why the hell you're thinking like this.
all right. Well, to make a long story short, I've been in love with this Polish girl for the last year. We were in a relationship together. Some bad shit went down. We could talk a little bit more about that later, but I don't know how deep I want to get into that. But yeah, I really believe love is the answer to all quandaries, war, relationships, just life in general, caring for each other, especially the planet. I love animals too. I'm going off track now, but why am I so down? Well, it really relates to my failure of relationships. Basically, they had the criticism that I didn't work enough, and yeah, they were right. But that wasn't the only thing, and it can get really nasty. And I'm almost to the point where I've just completely given up on the idea of love. Um, Feels like a dog and pony show to a degree. Like Oh, do we actually love like our parents, our families, our siblings, or are we just kind of acting? Like, kind of love them some days, kind of love them not. I don't really know, because my love is almost just unrealistic, just ridiculous in a sense. Because like I came at from it from the standpoint of like unconditional. Like I didn't expect anything from my partner really. Um, and yeah, that's probably not healthy. I mean, there should be something in it for me. Not to say that there wasn't anything in it, but it just seemed like I was always giving way more in my life to people around me. Um, and yeah, I'm just kind of up to the point now where I don't know if I'm just gonna give up entirely on the whole idea. Because life's just hard and shit, and the economy stinks, and the fucking government sucks. And yeah, these countries suck. It's all turning to fascism. They just want to fucking war, turn everyone more right wing, or left wing loop de doos. Freaking, there's no in between. It's just the world is so black and white. It's just like evil or good. It seems like these days, they're almost like a freaking cartoon or some shit. When you look at the media, especially in everyday life, like my manager, the one saving grace about this job and my life lately, the whole being brokenhearted, at least I can relate to my manager who has a similar story to me, coincidentally. So, and at least he's
Your
friendly and
manager,
nice.
your new manager opened up to you that quickly.
Yeah, well, he opened up to the group. I guess it was kind of a thing he'd been going through. His, I don't want to spread his business, but
No.
you don't know his name, right? So he had
Well, yeah,
a
don't
girl.
say. Well, yeah, go ahead anyway.
Yeah, I won't give his name on. He had a girlfriend. I can't talk about his situation. It's very common. So
Yep.
he's got a wife or something. Divorces. It could be a girlfriend. Who knows?
Yep.
But it's a common occurrence, like I say, where the wife will leave, get someone else, or whatever the case may be, cheated out. Who knows? And then he wants custody of the children, and then apparently she gets told that the only way to like for her to get full custody or something like this is to accuse him of a crime he didn't commit, which is just fucking insane if you think about it. But this is what these women are being told by these lawyers or whoever is representing them lawfully, legally. I'm probably gonna get assassinated for this shit. I'm just, whatever. Anyways, they convinced her to press charges on him as if to assume that he had done some abuse or something. And yeah, I don't believe that he did at all. And I've had a similar situation where I was accused of something I didn't do just because the girl was jealous or angry or petty, just vindictive. So I fully related.
With respect, as the kind of neutral kind of listener here, it does sound, whatever about your experience, it sounds really strange that a new manager just suddenly opens up and starts fucking. Sounds like he was having a fucking breakdown or something, like telling everybody this shit.
Nah, he seems like so happy-go-lucky, like he's just an open book, pretty much type of guy. I think that's why I like him because I see a lot of him and me and him. I should have said, but yeah, it wasn't like out of the topic of discussion. I don't know exactly what the conversation was at the time, but it seemed to flow pretty natural out of him. But yeah, I was like, wow, I was kind of blown away. I was like, shit. And then to top it off, she came back, apologized to him, like, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I want to reverse this. She goes back to the authorities. The authorities tell her, if you don't follow this through, we're going to charge you $15,000 for your lawyers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they're convincing people to falsely accuse people and then charging the people.
Well, I don't know.
Trying,
I don't know if is he sure the lawyer was like. I don't know if lawyers will do that generally. I think the people bring the case, and the lawyers shouldn't like bring a false claim. She might have made it seem like he's done that.
I don't know who she got told this information by initially, whether it was police or social
I
workers
mean, there
or
must, yeah,
a friend.
but
I don't
whatever
know.
this is, there
but
must have been some evidence. There must have been charges brought against him, whatever, by the police, and they did that because there was evidence. So
no, that's the
it
thing.
isn't
There
just
was no evidence like that. It's a misnomer actually, because my case there was literally no evidence apart from emails. Only would show that this person cared about the person. So I don't know if I really
right.
want to get into the whole scope,
No,
but fuck it, I don't give
probably
a
not.
fuck actually, dude. It was
Okay.
emails, bro. It was a couple emails to a girl I had lived with for 6 weeks.
Right.
Could a couple of emails over a week period really be construed as harassment? Or like, it's not like I was threatening to kill her. Like, I didn't threaten anything. There was no
Just a
threat,
couple of emails.
basically, yeah. But it was like 4 or 5 because she ended up talking about me online, and then I was just telling her to stop talking about me online after that. So if you could count that, then sure. But what I'm saying is they can make these cases out of nothing. They just have enough pressure on the average Joe that doesn't speak legalese. And it's overwhelming, dude. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I'm like, I'm accused of what? I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to
This is
think.
someone else, right? This isn't the Polish girl. This is someone else, right?
Yeah, this is a girl from London. Fucking.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
So what's the
so
lesson learned then? What's the lesson learned? I mean, sounds to me like you're picking the wrong. Either you're picking the wrong women, or something else is going wrong. Sounds to me
well,
like you need to try and find one a little bit more stable.
do they exist though? Do you have a wife?
Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh, they can mellow out eventually.
Man, I heard that expression with men, like not women, but yeah, dude, I don't even know anymore. I
God,
mean,
this is sounding very misogynistic tonight.
I might be a
No, there are.
misogynist.
Look,
I
it goes
apologize.
both ways, though, doesn't it? Men can be complete assholes as well. So
No, that is
you
true.
know,
I can't say I'm a misogynist because then, I'd be lying because I hate men as equally as women most of the time.
oh dear. Okay.
I just feel like we have more reason for other reasons to hate women more when you're the
It
opposite
is
gender.
interesting, isn't it? It is interesting.
We
And
have more reasons to love them also.
what you bring up is interesting as well, because it does seem though that what is it? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars.
Yeah, but even that
even
has a negative connotation towards men because it's a red one.
Is it okay? But
I feel like
even groups of men don't really get along either. I find if you analyze, the dynamics of the conversations. I mean, there's always some crappy.
Honestly, I
was
get
out
on
last
more with
night.
women
I went to a bar last night. I went to a pub last night, chatting to some friends. But I say friends. I analyze my friends, and I'm like, I've gone past the stage of making new friends. It's hard to meet, people you vibe with. And I do hang out with people. But it is hard. It is increasingly hard to want to socialize, with new people.
Most people are
with expectations of making friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that gets a wider as age goes on. Like, I really.
Yeah, I really understand it now because,
yeah.
First of all, you end up bored shitless because you've heard every conversation before, after a period of life. Like, I'm a geriatric millennial now, you know what I mean? So I've heard all the conversations.
How can we put those two words together already? Geriatric and millennial.
Well, there's fucking millennials out there who are probably grandparents now, you know what I mean? In some council estate somewhere, you know what I mean?
Don't remind me.
There are so basically you get to the stage in life where you spend a great portion of your youth and younger years looking for wisdom, looking for insight, looking for something, and then you go out there into the world talking to people, and Like a lot of the time in the West, we do it while we're inebriated as well. The socializing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we do it in a way where it's superficial. So you're socializing, but you're
Yeah.
not really socializing. So you're playing sport, but you're not really. You're just playing the sport. You're not talking to them about anything. You know what I mean? You're doing an activity. So you never get into the nitty gritty of it. And then I realize you can't get into the nitty gritty of it in the general population in discourse with, like people from the locality when you go to a bar or a cafe or whatever, because
Yeah, you're right.
everyone is entrenched in their kind of like own subjective view on matters. And if you go too deep with anything, arguments ensue, usually.
Yeah.
So you can't really, it is true, you can't really talk about politics, you can't really talk about religion, you know. I mean, you
Can't
can't
even
really
talk
talk
about
about
yeah,
you
anything
can't even
really.
talk about law. You can't even. You can. It's just like, what the fuck can I talk about? You know what I mean? Without anybody getting angry. And not only do they get angry, but then there's all this crappy fucking. You get a lot of posturing as well. People posturing in some way, either virtue
Yeah.
signaling, just trying to make themselves look good,
Yeah.
or they do something narcissistic. Try just having an argument when there's no need to have an argument, and then you're dealing with like the neurology of people as well. So over the weekend, I was talking to someone, and they had they were neuroatypical in some way. I'm not saying I'm not, by the way, but they were as well in some other way. And you're just talking, and they're getting annoyed, and it's like, hold on, we're just having a conversation here. And I patted them on the elbow, and I said, look, I don't have to agree with you. It's okay to disagree. You know that.
Oh, those people.
I,
Oh,
I no, I said that to him. I said that to him. Like,
yeah.
it's okay to disagree, because he was getting really angry at, like, I wouldn't agree with him. You know what I mean? I'm like, but first of all, he wasn't making any sense. His arguments were fucking,
Out of
you know,
curiosity,
dumb as shit.
what was the disagreement? Like,
He was
in
one
what
of
way
those
did you need
maniacs
to
who thinks he
disagree?
was one of those maniacs who thinks he thinks he can quote the Magna Carta in all circumstances, and it supersedes all modern day law. He's like, and
Hmm.
I'm like, it doesn't work like that, you fucking maniac. You know what I mean?
Right. There's new
He-
laws. There's
Yeah,
new
yeah. He thinks
documents.
he can go around. He thinks he doesn't need a driving license. He thinks he doesn't have to, pay his council tax. He thinks he doesn't have to fucking pay tax. He thinks he doesn't have to fucking do this or do that. And basically, in my view, he's an asshole. In
So
my
was
view,
this
because
point the Magna Carta?
no, yeah. I mean, look, the guy. What he was saying was fucking. I'm gonna look into it, but it's just it's banal crap. He's talking about. He was going on about the Magna Carta and it supersedes all modern day law, and he has rights inherent in that mean that he doesn't have to do this or that or the other, and that
That doesn't
basically
sound right.
no, exactly. He didn't, and the same guy has never voted ever as well. He said so. Clearly, the guy doesn't understand, or hasn't even attempted to understand the workings of society.
Right.
And then he's telling everyone what to do. He's advising people to not pay their bills and stuff. That's what he was saying in the bar. So
Wow.
basically, yeah, I did call him thick as shit, actually, because he was annoying in the end, because basically, he was saying stuff like don't pay your tax, and he's proud of not paying tax. And then the same guy is using the health services and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there was a few other things he said. But of course, he was like, "That's just your opinion, man." You know,
What
yeah. Anyway,
well, you can't
look,
talk
it's hard to go out into
senseless
the world. Oh, you have
sometimes.
dogs. Do you want to come on? You have dogs. We're just talking generally about socializing, connection to other humans, how difficult it is, etc., etc., and maybe even how it's becoming even more problematic in this day and age
It's
because we're so
almost like you
atomized.
can't tell the truth. Like you just
Well,
said,
you see, I
you
don't
can't even
know
disagree with someone.
I don't know if it's even as simple as that. I think we are more atomized than ever, but we are in many ways we have more access to information than ever, And many of us have come from backgrounds where our parents weren't overly educated, you know what I mean? And they just put their shoulder to the grindstone, and basically he Yeah, so, someone says he's absolutely correct, and you show your arrogance and ignorance. Well, come on and talk about it. Truth over lies. Yeah. So
He's absolutely
basically,
correct. Oh, I can't wait to hear
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. So anyway,
I have heard those types of people talk before. I just want to inject this real quick. I've
yeah.
seen some kind of YouTube because I am in my conspiracy stuff, but like to put it into practice, you're going against a system that has like it's got fucking cameras everywhere. Like it's got
No,
your
this is
birth
this is the
certificate
point I was
already.
making. I was granting him. I was granting him. Look, even if you are conceptually right about things, yeah, there is this
Right.
whole might makes right thing, and you live in a
Yeah.
world, in a system that you're beholden to it, whether you like it or not, and it's bigger and more powerful than you, and you're going
Right.
to go into court and you're going to talk to a judge who has been
Mm-hmm.
educated in that system, worked in that system, and holds a position of high esteem in that hierarchy. Yeah, and you're going to tell
Yeah.
him everything you say is wrong. He don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Yeah, yeah. He's really
All
going to
he's
listen
gonna
to
do
me, you
is
fucking moron.
disagree, and then the judge is gonna
Yeah,
go, "Well, I disagree with you."
yeah, yeah. Exactly. There is this whole thing, whether we like it or not in life, and it is who holds the cards. And it just so happens that sometimes other people are holding the cards, whether we like it or not.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. But yeah, we were talking about before I went off on that rant. We were talking about atomization of society, yeah, and basically how we have more access to information. And you're saying you can't speak the truth, but I don't know if we ever were really speaking the truth, is what I'm going to say in relation to like to that, because in the
Well,
past we were singing other people's hymn sheets, we were people had less access to information, right? I think in some kind of way, media has, in some ways, allowed some people to think more analytically than would have been the case in previous generations. Okay, I'm not saying they're doing it perfectly. Okay, but at least there's more. They're having access to more argumentation and stuff. They may be people that don't read or whatever, so they're getting some elementary realization that you don't have to take something written down as gospel. There are other ways of thinking about it. Because in the past, a lot of people, even in recent past, a lot of people would just read the Sun newspaper, or if they even bought that, they didn't do any media consumption, only maybe football games or Coronation Street.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Truth Over Lies. If you want to come on and enlighten us, I mean, it's all very well fucking telling us that we're unenlightened.
You're
Why
very
not just
welcome to come on and share
exactly,
your
exactly
viewpoint.
come out from under your bushel and shine a light on us, brother or sister? Yes, we're referring to the Magna Carta Truth there, global. Yes, the
But
truth.
I was about to say
That's
about that too. There are so many variations of quote unquote truth. Like there's so many um, contradictory viewpoints as well of what could be considered truth. Like I don't know if you believe in the moon landing or not, but that's one thing a lot of people would believe, which I just disagree with. For example, but there's just
well.
so many now
Look,
that
I
it's
I
almost
think we
becoming
went there. I think we went there, but I find it very strange that we didn't just go there once. By the way, everyone thinks we just went there once. We went there multiple
oh
times. We
right.
went there. There were lots of Apollo missions, and the other thing is that we did bring back stuff like the moon rock and stuff. But the other thing, and apparently that's different to any rock on this planet. Some of it. But the main thing is there are apparently mirrors on the moon that they shine lasers at, and they use that. No, that is done. They are there.
Is that scientifically verifiable?
Well, apparently there is some astronomic fucking observatory in America, some university or something that they do that fucking on the daily or maybe I don't know monthly, and
I
basically
mean,
yeah,
we could just
they
put it on
measure
NASA.com and
the
let us see.
distance to the moon for whatever reason. Sorry.
You just put it on NASA.com and let us watch. Shine a laser
Well,
at the
they
moon
do. There are
and
you
see
can go.
what
There
like
are
that would get
videos of
loads
them.
of
There are
views.
videos of them doing it. There are videos of them doing it.
Oh, you have to show me that. I've never seen that. If they could prove there's a mirror on the moon,
I
then
mean, look,
fine, I'll
if
believe in
you
the.
wanted to get all conspiratorial about it, you could say they could have flown up fucking a fucking rocket and dropped it from the rocket or something. You know what I mean? They could have done that like in Frozen.
Well, I mean, if they were
The
managed
mirror
to
flopped
drop it
out
from a
onto the lunar
rocket,
surface.
then I'm sure they could manage to land it. But yeah, I just don't think any of those. Have you ever looked at some of the
Well,
photos and
I
stuff?
tell you who, whatever about, because the moon landing, you got what's his name, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. They were they were the first guys on the moon. They
Legend.
were the guys on the moon, right? Initially, and you had this guy Michael Collins, right, who was
Uh-huh.
in the spacecraft. He didn't
The
actually
third
get
guy,
out, right? Yeah, third guy.
right?
Not many people talk about that guy, but
I
he
always forget
actually.
his name,
I mean, I
but
don't
I'm
know which
impressed
is
you
scary.
remember.
I don't know which is scarier, right? Being the two guys on the surface of the moon, or being Michael Collins completely by himself in the spaceship, right? Whatever the fuck you call it, floating around the moon. So he literally did an orbit off the moon, right?
Oh
So
my
he
god!
flew around the dark side of the moon that no human had ever seen. So those guys were the first guys on the moon, right? But they all saw that side of the moon. But he flew around to the other side, the dark side, and was completely by himself. I think that would have been terrifying, actually. You know, I don't know about you, but
Oh,
I don't
I
know how
think
long
any
that took him.
aspect of even if we take away the moon missions, even just taking a rocket to the space station, that sounds like fucking terrifying. Like even just witnessing the blast off of the some of these rockets, like I'm sure the sound is just incredible. But like obviously I've never been to one. But yeah, any kind of orbiting, any type of upper Earth orbit or lower Earth orbit, no, like too high for me. Do you see the Red Bull guy
Um,
that jumped off
no, oh yeah, the guy. No, the guy that. Yeah, the guy that. Yeah,
in
I know
from
the guy you're on
space,
about. He flew
basically?
really high up and he jumped out. He did a skydive basically from fucking
Yeah, the highest
crazy height.
skydive or some shit.
Mm.
That is insane. But yeah, if that is true, allegedly, if Michael Collins did do that, that is probably one of the scariest feats of all time, I'd say.
What, flying around the moon by yourself on the dark
Yeah,
side of the moon?
yeah,
Yeah.
that has to be one of the worst.
I mean, look, there are some really weird things about it. I'm not going to lie. Like what
So
these
yeah,
guys
so you do
these
doubt it a
guys didn't.
little
Why
bit.
these guys never really, spoke much afterwards. And for some reason, Neil Armstrong became a raging alcoholic afterwards. Um,
This guy kept fucking bothering Buzz Aldrin to make him swear on the Bible, and he wouldn't. He wouldn't swear on the Bible. He ended up punching the guy. There's way more to it than this. I don't want to get into the moon landing. Honestly, to be honest, I think it's far more
oh,
pressing and
tell us, because
interesting
I no,
conversations
no
we can have.
no. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I think we did go there, but as I said, as usual, nothing in this world like runs smoothly in terms of like. There's always some weirdness about it. You know what I mean? And one of the weirdest things I believe is the fact that they recently said we forgot how to get there, basically.
Ah, right.
The other way,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oops.
But they said, by the way, they did say we're going there next year.
Oh my god. They said when we supposed to be going to Mars already? 22. What was it? Musk said. But yeah, okay. There's one part I can bring up, which I seen in a documentary. Um, there was a rocket scientist called Bill Kaysing. He worked for NASA. He helped make the
Mm.
rockets that were allegedly to go to the moon. He said that it wasn't possible. He said there was like a way stupidly low probability that they would even get there. And in fact, the Russians' rockets were working better at the time than the Americans. Did you know that? That's why Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space. Why didn't the Russians go?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to it. If you looked at the documentary I saw, or if you look at some of the photographs they even released, there's anomalies in the photographs. There's like crosshairs where like to be able to show. I guess that's the system that they use. They use little crosshairs to I don't know, map something out. And on some of these pictures, there's like images like almost like copy pasted over the crosshairs. So there's no crosshairs where there should be crosshairs. There's just a lot of anomalies, if I could put it with that word. But yeah, there's enough for me to question it and be like, well, I just don't believe a lot of the things that governments have convinced us to believe. Not that being one of them. I wouldn't say I'm a total full-blown conspiracy theorist though, because I believe the world's round at least.
The thing about that guy about the Magna Carta, this person is singing the praises of that fella last night.
Right.
The clause that the guy was relying on was actually dropped in later versions. Okay, and what these people don't realize is, the law is alive. It evolves with society, and it's not stagnated. It shouldn't be stagnated. You don't, things change. Society. That's what society is all about. The Houses of Parliament. It's all about law. It's all about creating rules for society. Okay, to abide by, and also dropping previous ones. It's about evolution. So depending on one clause in the Magna Carta, which by the way isn't even in it, was dropped later on, is ridiculous. But anyway, if that's your thing and you want to come on and talk about it, then do. I'd appreciate that, because, as I say, if you want to show me how this makes any sense in this day and age, then do. I know people get off on things, but I don't think it's as easy as these individuals make out. And I actually think the reasoning is probably based on something else. A lot of time, it's not actually based on the person's legal argument.
I had a similar kind of dispute with my mother recently, actually, about her paying TV license. I don't know if you've seen stuff about TV licensing.
Yeah.
It's like, from my understanding, at least initially, it was that BBC News, anything in the BBC broadcasting, anything live. So I figured, well, she never watches anything live, so what is the point in actually paying it? But now they've put some more into it, and now it's like any live.
If you watch
any live YouTube stream, any live, TikTok, whatever, on the internet.
No,
so
have they done that? I didn't know they'd done that. I thought they brought in the iPlayer. If you watch any of the iPlayer shit.
Right. That's what it used to be, but now they're saying it's also even YouTube, and I'm like, well, I don't know how much live YouTube I actually watch. Now I think about it, but like, for example, if I'm watching you live, maybe. But do you get any of the TV licensing money?
Occasionally,
probably not, right? Yeah. No, I mean, like, you get paid from the TV license to use to broadcast your YouTube live.
Oh no, I thought you meant do I get the letters and the stuff? Yeah.
Oh, right. So do you pay it?
I will say I won't say, but
okay.
I'll leave it up to people to make their own decisions. I actually don't watch live television, so there you go.
Yeah, me neither. So I didn't think I'd have to pay it, but she apparently thinks she rationalized it like this. It's only like £1 a month, a week, or whatever the fuck it is. I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because you do need, it is a public service, and as much as people bash it, the BBC has been good. It's like anything site. There's good and bad sides to it. It's been fantastic in some ways. And obviously, then there's been the fucking Jimmy Savile turnout. So yeah, it hasn't been
David
been good
Attenborough
at all in other ways.
Jimmy Savile bad.
Yeah, well,
and yeah, the propaganda they do is insane, actually. But yeah, I just, I don't know. I'm not totally like anti-Britain, but yeah, I'm not the most patriotic person in the world. But yeah, how the hell did they get away with not paying council tax now? That's a new one. Is he not got a place to live? Like, is he homeless?
I don't know. This is it. I mean, it sounds like a load of bullshit to me. And I wouldn't condone that either. I don't like these people who say, oh, no one should pay tax or whatever. Like, nah, it doesn't work like that, especially when you're using services and you will use services in the future. That's just my view on it. I think tax is okay, and the only problem with tax is perhaps there are loopholes for the rich. That's the problem with it, in my view.
I thought they'd
What I
take it
would be
automatically
interested in
anyway.
what I would be interested in looking at some point is, I
Hmm.
think in America, I read a while back, was Mississippi. They brought in this thing where they stopped income tax, and I think they just got their money from value added tax, which I thought was an interesting way of doing things. But I wonder, how did that go?
Right. I've
Mississippi.
never heard that. That's interesting. But yeah, for where we live, I'm sure income tax is just automatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty tyrannical. I've heard in America some thing about how their federal income tax isn't legal or lawful, and they don't actually have to pay it too. I've heard this rhetoric like around America as well. But it was like really educated people saying it. So that they're saying that there's no actual federal law saying that they should have to pay that income tax, according to some people. But it's still expected, I guess.
This Mississippi turnout is interesting, man. So it says here, on the 27th of March, Governor Tate Reeves, the governor of Mississippi, signed House Bill number 1, Build Up Mississippi Act, and it lowered the flat individual income tax to 3% by 2030. Okay, so then it's moving down incrementally, and then it will use revenue triggers to keep cutting it until it reaches 0% in later years. Okay, so it's going to take a while. So analysts estimate a full repeal of income tax could land in Mississippi around 2040 if the triggers are. So that's basically if revenue growth and spending limits hold. And as of July the 1st, 2025, the grocery sales tax, which I presume is like our value-added tax, dropped from 7% to 5%. So that's dropped as well. This is very strange, man. And gas taxes will rise in steps through 2027. So they're actually rising gas tax. That's interesting. So petrol and fuel tax is going up. I suppose that probably has something to do with climate change, although I don't know. So they're shifting towards fuel taxes. So they're going to, so they're mostly shifting towards fuel taxes then. And growth-based triggers. So they're going to have a higher fuel excise tax. Okay. Gas and diesel taxes will step up by 3 cents per gallon each year to 21 cents per gallon in 2025, 2020. Anyway, it's
Don't the Americans get their oil?
1 second. They're keeping their general sales tax. They're cutting groceries tax. Okay, so there is a general sales tax, and then there's a groceries tax. So they're keeping the VAT, but they're cutting it down on groceries. Okay. So they have a standard 7% sales tax on most other purchases, but groceries will drop to 5%. So, okay. So instead of an immediate repeal, after the rate hits 3% in 2030, further income tax cuts only happen if the rainy day fund is full and B, projected revenues exceed next year's approximations by. Okay, so they're doing it very strategically. So basically, it sounds like they're expecting people to spend more, probably with that. The money that they're not paying in tax, they'll probably spend, and then they'll get that back. The government will get that in the sales tax, and then they're adding that to a fund. So the other incremental reductions in the income tax will only happen if that fund is full,
Mm.
and if the projections exceed the necessary increase. Um,
Hmm.
interesting stuff. It's interesting to hear. I think about other ways of taxing society. So if anybody has any views on that, then come on and talk about
I
it.
think you brought up a good point. The rich seem to be able to evade that a lot in England, like these
Yes,
offshore.
truth over lies loopholes for the rich because they have more knowledge, not just because they're rich. True, but
Mm.
then again, they do pay for that knowledge. Generally speaking, I mean, they're not all accountants, they're not all tax specialists, or lawyers or whatever. So they have the money to pay the experts to do the skullduggery for them. Basically, that's what I meant
Mm.
by that. I mean, most rich people don't really know the ins and outs of tax law, or how to fucking hide your money or whatever. They don't really know the ins and outs of trust funds, etc. They get the experts to do it for them, and that they pay for that. That's what I meant by, because they're rich, they get to do that. By the way, not all rich people do that, I'm sure, but a lot of them do. I'm talking about ultra rich here.
Mm.
So Black Hole says he's going to come on. Yes. What would be your system of governance of society, Piggy, and maybe, dare I say it, your system of taxation? Have you ever thought about that? What way would you run society? And if you got to get your reins on, being some kind of dictator, be a benevolent dictator of the world, how would you run the ship? That's what I'd like to know. And I would
Oh God.
appreciate a stream of consciousness now on that matter. And I'm going to get a tasty beverage, and I'll be right back. But a stream of
All right,
consciousness on how you would run the world. By the way, this could happen. There's
I'll
the
do
law
my
of
best.
attraction, manifestation. You know what I mean? People talk about this shit, so take it seriously. I'll be right
Okay,
back. I am listening though.
I will try. Honestly, my perspective, I can't see myself ever being put in the shoes of people that have to make judgment of people or create rules for people or tell people how to live or guide them. Even like I just feel like it's morally wrong. Even I don't know, like an anarchist or something like that. I don't know what I am or where I fall politically. I don't think communism, capitalism, um, socialism. I don't think any of them have done it correctly. I think because I'm from a socialist type country, that you know we've done our best of what we had. I don't think it's perfect. It's far from it, I think. But I don't know how many other countries really do it any much better than us. At least we have the NHS. But as far as me running the ship, hmm, I wouldn't know where to start because I don't really agree with Parliament or politics. Or I just feel like it's a two-party system that's um, it's two wings of the same bird. Like, so having said that, I guess every country that I can think of, at least in Europe, they all have some type of that, or even in other countries, Middle Eastern or um, Far East, that they have like congressions or type of communities to make this, but even that's hierarchical. Like we were just saying earlier, like about the disagreeing with a certain guy. Um, how are we supposed to ever come to a consensus when really we don't even know if we're getting the genuine people's thoughts or feelings, or if they're just like, you know, grandstanding for certain causes just to be looked at more favorably? Like it's just too complicated and convoluted to even begin to try and fix this problem. but our dog and pony show for politics that we have, like here in America or anywhere else, I can imagine Canada, France, Germany, name it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding out for a benevolent AI dictator. I don't think there's anything human that's going to be a good form of governance. And look,
I don't
I
think
think the
AI could
reason
do
for that,
that
I
either.
think the reason, I think the reason for that is connected to technology. Actually, I think there was some kind of tipping point, okay, where we became so technologically empowered that it became problematic because the best way for our society to function, if it is to function only as a human one, I believe, was when we had strongman societies, okay, where we were chucking spears at each other and throwing rocks at each other, okay, because at least then there wasn't such advanced technology that kept any one corrupt power in charge for too long. If you were really back in those days, if you were a cunt, okay, you got taken out, okay, basically. But now, but then we had some kind of technological tipping point where the corrupt power was able to amass immense defensive and offensive weaponry to protect themselves, okay, and to stop the turnover of the strongman, okay, because
I need nukes.
I do believe the caveman strongman was probably the best system, because you know basically, yeah, the fucker died eventually, and if he wasn't good enough, there was other cavemen around to fucking throw a rock at him, yeah. So
He's got
humans
the
aren't
biggest
really
rock.
good. Humans aren't really good at being technologically advanced and being peaceful. Although some will say that we have this mutually assured destruction thing with nuclear weapons, and that keeps the peace. But I'm not really talking about keeping the peace geopolitically. I'm talking about the turnover of regimes, and the turnover of regimes has got extremely hard when we became technologically, empowered as a species. I have Cougar the Doomer here. Cougar the Doomer. I don't know if you've been listening to anything we've been talking about, but there's no better man to enlighten us on matters of what is the best system of governance for society. You're on the show, Cougar. If you can hear us, I can't hear Cougar. Anyway, Piggy, sorry, as you were, bro.
Setting up, I think.
Yeah. He's setting up. I'm gonna go fill
Sorry,
my.
sorry, guys,
go
I
ahead,
had to
Cougar.
set up.
Yeah. That's all right. We can hear you now, mate.
Hello.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, everything sounds fine.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know if you heard what we were trying to think about, and that is, what is the best form of governance for human beings? What would you say is the best system, Cougar, or is there one? And what is your general view on governance and where society is going in that regard?
I'm sorry, was that directed at me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was listening to the guest, and it just occurred to me, something hasn't occurred to me before, that there's really only one kind of government in the world right now. There's really just one. Even China, who is supposed to be basically the last communist nation standing, is a capitalist country. We're so much closer to one world governance than we've ever been. The activities of Vladimir Putin in Ukraine notwithstanding, I mean, that war is practically a cosplay. It's just, I don't know what they're doing with that. It's just like, it's not a war, it's performance art. I don't even get it. I understand the dead people, but this is all kabuki theater. This is all happening within like a scripted environment. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm a materialist, but you can just see what's happening in the world, and we're not doing anything for people. We're not doing anything for the habitat. We're not doing anything for climate. We're not doing anything to stop wars. All the wars that people want to have are happening, and there's it just seems to be the script. It's like the global script now is global everything, and and it's not even like enriching anybody. It's just there's just this consensus that we have one world now, and I don't know how to parse that. I don't know how to make sense of that.
Do you think the war in Ukraine?
You're right, though. It does. It's a very strange war. Sorry, it is a very strange war, Cougar. You're right, and it's like, why haven't the Russians killed Zelensky? If they really, do you know what I mean? Why? They don't seem to really go for it, do they? It's like they want it to be drawn out. They're somehow benefiting from it, being a long, drawn out affair.
I can't make it. I can't make any sense of it.
Yeah. Because they don't really seem to be really bombing the shit out of Kiev, do they? So they are and they aren't. It's not. Look, what I'm saying is, you'd expect Russia to be. They are capable of really, really fucking blowing the shit out of Kiev if they wanted to. You know what I mean? All those government buildings, etc. If they wanted to, I hope they don't. I don't want them to, but I'm just saying it all adds to your view. Yes, it is a very strange war. It's an extremely strange war. It's just going on and on and on. And by the way, this isn't to denigrate the fact that there are a serious amount of people dying. There's lots of soldiers being, chewed up on the front lines, and it is a horrible war. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it's a fucking amsy-pansy fucking, fairy war. It is an actual fucking grotesque war. I mean, they're using fucking drones, okay, and they're blowing these soldiers up. There's no such thing as surrendering anymore, because in the old days, you could put a white flag up, and there was this kind of, gentlemanly conduct on the battlefield that if your enemy waved a white flag, well, then you took a little time, a bit of back and forth in terms of shouting, conversation, or whatever, and eventually you let him come towards you with his hands up in the air, and you took him in as a prisoner of war, whatever. But now there's no such thing. They just blow them up with a fucking drone. You can't surrender. So it's a grotesque situation. But yeah, it's a grotesque situation with this weird piecemeal fucking bit by bit fucking destruction that isn't quite doing the job of an actual complete all-out war. Would you say I'm right in that regard, Cougar? It's strange.
It is. It's just strange. And I'm, of course, I'm coming from America, so we have a weird outlook on things, especially Europe. But I kind of understand our relationship with Europe, and I understand that NATO is there and all this kind of stuff is going on. So it's really complicated for the Russians, but the Russians have nuclear weapons and they have gas. They've been ready to fight the Third World War from the get-go. And I every day I hear the headlines, I expect to hear about tactical nukes being used in Ukraine. I think it's really obvious that the West, and now, of course, under Trump, America, won't lift a finger. And yet, the thing that would end the war in a day, in 24 hours, would be a very small, even limited, even Russia could even use tactical nukes on its own territory near Ukraine and simply say, okay, tomorrow afternoon at this time, we're going to move all these 1,000 miles into your country, because we can do that. But it hasn't happened. And yet Russia continues to hemorrhage. And I'll get back to my earlier point in a second. Russia continues to hemorrhage men which are valuable for labor, if nothing else. I mean, let's just talk capitalism if you want to. They're destroying their labor pool. They haven't taken Ukraine. They're destroying their labor pool. They're probably destroying their country for generations out. And they may even become unviable as a nation if they don't have men to work and, frankly, to marry the women and have raise families together. You know, they may be completely eviscerated because of this. And yet, for some reason, getting back to the global stage, for some reason, someone please tell me what's going on here. They haven't rolled out the tactical nukes. And I know they say China told them not to, and India told them not to, and all this, again, like kabuki theater, there's all these players just off the wings, you know, whispering lines to the actor on the stage. But since when have we ever noticed that Russia gives two fucks what anybody thinks? Never. And I don't get it. I mean, maybe have I missed something? Maybe I've missed something. I don't know.
I don't know. I know this might sound fucked up, but I feel like the Russians are maybe more moral than people assume. So, in general. But here's my question. It's kind of
you mean the people, the Russian people, the culture rather than the leader, right?
Oh, really? I mean,
Really?
if let's think about it in a historical context. World War II, they basically defeated the Germans for us. Like we were their allies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, that's
it
not
was all the
true.
Russians that died.
That's not strictly true, by the way.
No, but it's like
Because
9 million.
the war started in Poland, right? At the time the Germans were going in from one side, the Russians were going from the other side.
Right. But
Russians were actually our enemy at the beginning of the war, you know?
Right,
it's just they hadn't joined in.
But after,
and by the way, Winston Churchill always said, Winston Churchill, it was said, made a mistake after, you know, not continuing the war into Russia after the Nazis were defeated. That is one of the things that some people say about him, that he should have kept going, and America should have kept going as well. And there is a lot of argument for that in terms of peace and prosperity in Europe and the world. You know, what kind of a world would it have been if they had kept going and removed Stalin? You know, I mean, Stalin did a lot of damage to his own people. Was it 23 million Russians he killed or something like that? So, yeah, I think they should have kept going, to be honest with you. Got rid of Stalin, and, you know, that's just my view on it. But, yeah.
But you don't think it was just a bad click like Germany had? Or, you know, you could say the same for Roosevelt, too. I mean, they did drop nukes on Japan. It's not like they're saints or something.
Are you talking about America? Not saying they're not saints. Well, I mean, look. It was a mad time. It was a mad time. It was a mad time. I think they gave them ample opportunity to surrender and to stop. You know, and at the end of the day, I've thought about this before as well. You know, I've thought, you know, it is horrible that citizens get affected by the government's actions. You know, and the average citizen can get blown up because of the incompetence or the arrogance or, you know, just the psychopathy of their government. But the point is, this look, it's already happened. So what it should teach you is the importance of making sure you do try to influence your government, your country's government, because it will come back on the citizenry eventually, somehow or other. Day to day, yes, but even in terrible fucking situations like what happened in Japan, you know, I'm not sure the average Japanese fucking citizen had a say in matters. You know, they were all brainwashed anyway at the time. So
like how many?
I'm just saying,
those people
in hindsight, it should push everybody to realize how important it is to be engaged.
But people don't, man. People are
no, they
so
don't. They don't. But this is it. No one ever learns. But also, look, to be pessimistic about it, there is also the problem which I've spoken about, and that is the darker psychologies in politics have a tendency to get to the top sometimes, a lot of the time, and that's another problem. So even if we were all critically engaged in it, yes, these fuckers would clamber to the top of the greasy pole with their Machiavellian exploits and cause hell for everybody anyway.
What do you think about Starmer, though? He doesn't seem like a completely Machiavellian type personality.
I don't think he is. I think,
but at the same time, he is supporting the hell out of Ukraine.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not unusual, given that all his allies are as well. And, you know, I don't know enough about it, but I think in terms of right and wrong, I think it does seem Russia were wrong to go into Ukraine. You know,
I think that's the way the media portrayed it. I don't know.
Practically speaking, yeah, there is the call that Russia are having a hope and they should surrender. Now that's up to them at the end of the day. I don't think we should tell them what to do. It's up to them what they want to do. You know what I mean? Now the other thing that's what Trump has said before, that they should surrender some land. It's up to them. They're a sovereign nation. They're entitled to do what they want. Now the other thing is, in my view, Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine got fucked up the arse, by the rest of the world when they were basically forced, in many ways, diplomatically forced to give up their nuclear weapons. The fall of the Soviet Union. They did after that. They did have nuclear weapons, and they gave them up. And part of the agreement was they would be protected if there was any.
Yeah, we lied then. Yeah,
and they've been left in the ship, in my view. It's been a
what
terrible.
We did to Poland in World War II.
So, in my view, you could say that the West, owes it to Ukraine to protect them because they basically harassed them to give up their nuclear weapons.
But when we say
if Ukraine had nuclear weapons, none of this shit would have happened.
But when we say the West, who do we mean? Like, how far west do we go? Because
the major powers in the West or whatever, like they're all.
Yeah, but like, I'm often wondering, finding myself. Well, no, this is the question I was going to put to you earlier. Like, what is England's stake in it actually? That these Ruskies and Ukrainians are fighting with each other. Like, what does Starmer? What horse do we have in this race actually? Like. Because it seems like he wants to fund Ukraine until
there is a lot
forever.
at stake. I mean, I used to think, what does it matter? But it does.
Yeah,
matter.
like what is at stake?
We live in a planet of resources, all right. And at the end of the day, we are a species that is fundamentally resource driven. It's how we trade. It's how we attract mates. Yeah, it's how we survive. And at the end of the day, if you have an enemy who's ideologically against you, do you really want them getting more resources, in this world? I would say no. You don't want them enlarging their power base and their abilities to basically take more territory, because you never know. Look, you never know what's going to happen down the line. That's the truth of it. You've got to be a long-term thinker as a fucking head of state. You got to think about. The Chinese think in hundreds of years. They have like 100-year fucking plans. You've got to think that far ahead, because if you are patriotic and you care about your people, yeah, you've got to think about all different scenarios and possibilities that could happen, like catastrophes, global heating, as Cougar talks about, pandemics, whatever it may be. And you've got to make sure your people, if you care and you're patriotic, you've got to make sure they're catered for. And they're not going to be endangered in the future should shit hit the fan in some way or other. That's just my view. Cougar, have you got any views on anything? Or
Yeah. I've just been lurking. Well, you mentioned global heating, and this goes back to what I came on addressing in the beginning, which I'll just repeat real quickly. I think we have one government on the planet. I think everyone who was afraid of one world government, well, they can be afraid, because I think that's happened. And the problem with climate change, global heating, whichever you want to call it, I tend towards the latter because I'm a scientist and I understand physics. The problem with global heating is that it's pretty obvious that the entire planet is now backed up against not addressing the problem at all, which is really stunning to me. And maybe everyone has coordinated around something like we need economic growth, so we can't ever stop burning fossil fuels. And maybe that's true. Maybe everyone simply has exactly the same, presentation that's their only concern. But the consensus that every single leader, every single institution, every single thing is saying, oh, this is not a problem. This is way out in the future. This is 100 years from now. This is not as big a problem as if we stopped burning fossil fuels. That would be the problem. This global heating stuff, this is nothing. This is small beers. It just as I've been watching this play out for 20, 30 years that I've been in this space, it just boggles the mind. And, you know, I wrote the book, right? It was 100 days. You can pick it up on Amazon. And it talks about how the world falls apart at the end of fossil fuels because of global heating. And it falls apart as far as I can tell, because I researched this and thought about it quite a bit, like every author does. It falls apart instantly. And in the falling apart, within a month or two, 999 people out of 1,000 are just gone. And no one knows where they went or how they went or why. They're just gone. And yeah, I can't be the only person who understands this. I just can't believe that, just given the data and given our understanding of politics and human behavior, that I'm the only one who came up with this. I think a lot of people understand this explicitly understand this, and yet not a peep, not a sound. And
this would be a work of fiction, right? Or a
Certainly.
hypothesis.
Let's call it speculative fiction. I'm a scientist and an engineer, and I've been following. I don't have any formal work in climatology or climate studies, but I'm a scientist, so I can definitely follow this. And as I've gotten older and retired, finally, I have a YouTube channel, and where I talk about these topics all the time, and like I've done over 500 videos or something. So I've put a lot of thought into this. Not that it's all good, but from that I wrote a book, and it's called It Was 100 Days. And it basically examines what happens in 100 days. And in 100 days, the entire world implodes. The human world essentially evaporates. And I don't know how else to explain it. And that's because we don't lift a finger. We don't lift a finger to do anything to save anyone. And I just find that I just don't understand it. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm naive, but
What
I
could
just
be
can't
done, though?
understand. What?
What could be done?
Well, okay, to your point, global heating is what we call a wicked problem. You can look that up. It's an actual term. I didn't make it up. It's a wicked problem. Wicked problems are a class of problems that admit of no solution. Period. And for the progressive Westerner who thinks that all problems have a solution, well, you'd be amazed. There are definitely problems that have no solution, and we've all had to endure those. There's still no cure for cancer. There is still, maybe have to do more research. No, because cancers are caused by the environment, and we're not willing to stop adding pollutants to the environment. So there you go. And with global heating, it's the same thing. We are dependent for 100% of everything we do all the time, for 100% of what we do, on fossil fuels. Everything. There's no exception. Everything that we do, apart from maybe the air we breathe, is dependent on our access every day
So do
to
you
fossil
think
fuels.
if we were to somehow find an energy source that didn't use fossil fuels, they could reverse the...
No, there's no reversing this. This is
Okay.
physics. This is physics. This isn't you've overdrawn your bank account. You need to take a loan. This is not reversible. Well, and that's hard to believe. Like, how can it not be reversible? Well, gravity is not reversible. If you jump out of an airplane without a parachute, gravity is a one-way trip for you, and you're going to hit the ground and you're going to die. And that's not reversible. And there are an entire class of problems in physics that are not reversible. And this is one of those. When you release the CO2 in the atmosphere, that's where it's going to stay. And the effort to remove it would take as many fossil fuels as you've burned already to remove the fossil fuels you burned in the past. It's a loser proposition, and people can talk
So do
about
you
it, but they
not
can't
think,
solve
Cougar,
it.
then if there's no solution, maybe they think that as well, and they're basically accelerationists, so they're trying to create the technology to actually get off the planet or to survive. So that's why they're really going for it,
Yeah,
technologically speaking.
and I've said that before. And recently we just had the rapture right over here in America. We're completely crazy about our religion, and so we just had this twice, actually 2 weeks apart. We had this rapture thing. Well, to your point about accelerationists, Elon Musk is an accelerationist, and he's trying to rapture himself to Mars using technology. He's trying to get off this rock. So is Jeff Bezos. So are all the others who have money. And it takes billions of dollars, as we can see with SpaceX. It takes billions of dollars to pull this off. And yeah, I don't know if they're accelerationists as such. You don't have to be, because you can simply recognize, oh, this is physics. We fucked up. We really screwed this up. We jumped out of an airplane without a parachute. Well, that's going to leave a mark. And yeah, people who are in the know, who get the reports and read the IPCC reports and whatever, who have the money and the time, they're looking at that. They're saying, oh, wow, okay, so this is it. And they want to be the 1 in 1,000 that makes it to their whatever, their Shangri-La, their island nation, their whatever, their 1,000 acres of land in the boreal forest. I don't know what their plan is. I guess they've got a plan. Elon Musk is rapturing his fat ass to Mars. So they've all got a plan of some kind. And yeah, there's no way out of this one, folks. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation, but getting back to the topic of global power and one world government, or whatever you want to call it, I think they know. I think they get it. That maybe is one explanation for why they're doing exactly zilch, nothing. Is they're just staying. They're running ahead of the steamroller, and that's good enough for them.
So, what's the time frame according to your hypothesis?
Well, the book I wrote is cast in the very near future, and I think, to give you a date, most of the science that is credible is basically pointing to 5, maybe somewhere from 5 to 20 years. And the reason which isn't very much time, regardless of what you want to say, and the reason there's a little bit of a window is because we don't really understand how the Earth dynamic system works under global heating. We don't. We'll pretend we do, and we talk about it.
But that you just kind of contradicted yourself then, because you just said that it's a time window, and then you said it's also that.
Okay, then allow me. Fair enough. Then allow me to clarify. We know the rate of change in the current Earth system. We don't know if there are scary things out there. In a recent video, I was talking about how we have gone off the edge of the map. We went off the edge of the map in 2023, and the problem with meaning we have no predictive power. The problem with going off the edge of the map is you don't have a map. All you have is data. All you have is situational awareness. Where are you? What do you see in front of you? What's behind you? We know enough about the changes that are currently happening in the Earth, just from situational awareness, to know that this can't continue for very much longer. There are going to be problems with supply chains, in particular food. There are a lot of people working in the area of agriculture who are saying this is a crisis that's going to overflow. Now that will affect some. Now all of these things will affect some nations and regions sooner than others. So this is going to be well, I want to use the word saltational, but that's probably, people won't understand it. It's going to be a stepwise rollout. Okay, a dance of the 7 veils, if you rather, a dance of the 7 veils, where each veil is pulled off.
One thing I read.
Yeah.
I might know this. Does anybody know this? Why the hell is cocoa so expensive now? Cacao, whatever the fuck you call it, the plant that they get chocolate from. Yeah. No, the plant they get it from. It's
cocoa.
The crops are fucking very expensive at the moment. And why is that? Apparently, it's gone up ridiculously high. It used to be like, say, I heard it was $3,100 for I don't know, a ton of it for a long time. Like even that was a kind of stable figure for about a decade or so, 2 decades, and now it's like tripled that, or maybe and even a bit more. And it's gone up so fast and high that there's all these like chocolatiers going out of business, and you know the major chocolatiers in this country we have like Penguin bars, club bars. Apparently they're no longer allowed to call themselves chocolate anymore because they're not using enough cocoa in them, the cocoa
Oh
mass.
wow.
So yeah, and it's all to do with the price of cocoa. Like, what's that about, Cougar? Is that anything to do with your global heating? Have you heard about this? Has anybody heard
You
about
know,
this?
it might be. We would call these canaries in the coal mine, coal, COAL, canaries in the coal mine, where they are early indicators that something is falling apart. Now, it could be that there's simply some capitalistic reason for cocoa prices going through the roof. Someone may have cornered the
They are
market.
saying, sorry to stop you there. They are saying climate change, extreme weather. This is what they're saying. Sorry, you call it global heating, but
Yeah.
on Google, it's saying climate change, extreme weather conditions, including droughts and heavy rainfall, have significantly impacted cocoa production, particularly in West Africa, which supplies about 2/3 of the world's cocoa. The current El Nino weather pattern has resulted in dry conditions, further reducing yields elsewhere. Yeah, so that's that. And also another weird thing happening at the moment. It's not related to food, but it's gold. Gold prices are going through the roof. Again, that is probably down to people not trusting,
The economy.
you know, money, the
Mhm.
economy, and they're trying to safeguard their finances for all manner of reasons. Maybe because they know we're moving towards a cashless society. Maybe they're worried about the security of banks, even online and
Yeah.
stuff. But anyway, people are plowing their money and their funds into buying gold. So that's just an interesting thing that's happening in the
Yes,
world at the
a
moment
lot of
as
this
well.
is a lot of this is geopolitics, right? Where there's insecurity in China and Russia and Eastern Europe in general, and a bunch of other things. But to get to your question, how much of this is global heating? What is happening in the world is we are rapidly, although somewhat invisibly, meaning it's not perceptive to most people, we're losing habitat. We are losing rainforest. We're losing the boreal forest right here in North America. The destruction of the boreal forest, which is mostly in Canada, and there's another piece of it in Russia. The destruction of the boreal forest is proceeding apace, and that is due like 100% to global heating. It is the loss of the boreal forest is heat related, and there's no source of heat other than the physics of the greenhouse effect. So there's a lot of things that you could find, and eventually it's going to be not just the price of cocoa and coffee and sugar and other things that maybe you could do without, but pretty soon it's going to
Right.
be wheat, rice, soybeans, staples, things that maybe you don't eat directly, but end up going into your food supply. So then your cheese is more expensive, dairy, and then your meat is more expensive, or it's not available at all.
It all cascades down through the different network of everything. So I
Yeah.
want to talk to Yerf Dogs. He's just waiting patient. Yerf Dogs, how you doing, brother? Yerf Dogs, you're on the show, mate. He might be connecting his microphone. I don't know. We're waiting for Yerf Dogs to talk. I can't hear him at the moment. Oh, it doesn't look like he's got his microphone connected.
I have an interesting question for Cougar
Wait for Yerf Dogs.
if we got time.
Go ahead.
So, in this prediction, if it was to happen in America, like the first city to be under sea level, for example, or over sea level, whichever phrase is correct, like, where would you expect the catastrophe first to hit, like, say, America? Like, would it be?
Yeah. There's a couple of things. You mentioned sea level, so I can riff on that first. Florida is already going underwater. There is, in a big way, there are coastal cities in Florida that have been forced to install millions of dollars worth of pumps to pump out seawater from what is called blue sky or nuisance flooding. So they're already going underwater, and you don't have to be under 200 feet of water. which was what you expect if the Earth became ice-free. You can be under 2 feet of water. If you're under 2 feet of water and your roads have 1.5 feet or 2 of water and it's salt water, you're done. You're finished. You're now a coast. You're now in the ocean, basically. But also, the U.S. Midwest, which is where a lot of our grain is produced, and other things like soybeans and corn used for ethanol, for example, they're having massive problems with the weather. The weather has turned completely batshit crazy. They're having storms that they can't even believe. Everyone says, "Oh, we've had this kind of storm before," but then people say, "No, it's never been like this." There's risk of crop failures. The geopolitics of what's happening in the world with the Chinese now refusing to buy soy is going to destroy U.S. soy production probably for a generation. And then, on top of geopolitics, and the geopolitics is also tied to all this global bullshit because countries are now panicking and trying to, win the battle with their trading partners, and then. There's going to be so many problems after the soy is gone. There's so many problems with beef production because in the U.S., beef and pork production is largely fed soy right out of the soy farms. So if the soy farmers go bankrupt and the corn farmers follow right in their feet, then we may have problems producing beef because we don't grow beef on pasture. That's like a boutique. Beef, pasture grown beef, free range beef is a tiny fraction, like less than 1%, much less than 1% of the beef production in the U.S. You can't even find somebody who will sell you beef that was pasture grown unless you order it online and it gets delivered in a UPS truck. Our food supply here in America is not that reliable. So in addition to the nuisance flooding in Florida and people having to leave Florida as basically climate refugees, which is an ongoing disaster, and the loss of the agricultural lands in America, we have fires that are simply unhinged, just completely unhinged. Fires that are so violent, that they cannot be fought.
Where was it last time in California?
Oh yeah, we had several fires. We've had fires. So I grew up in Northern California in a town called Chico, and right up the hill from Chico was Paradise, where I also lived for a long time. And Paradise sounds like a nice place, right? They got a fire that came through there that was so completely insane, wind-driven, fuel-driven, that it just destroyed the town, burned it to the ground.
Oh, wow.
And it killed 89 people in their cars trying to escape.
Holy
That's how violent. This is violence, okay? This is not a fire that someone was late to put it out. This is violence, and we're seeing a lot of violence, climate-driven or technically global heating-driven. The heat is the source, the energy for the violence. And in Los Angeles, just recently, they had the Palisades fire, and that burned through 19,000 buildings. I think was the last count. I don't know how many people died, but it blew through like a gigantic blowtorch. The amount of violence was simply incalculable, impossible. Couldn't fight the fire, just couldn't fight it. The fire truck is there. They've got the hose, they've got the water, and the violence and the wind was so extreme. It just blew the water. They couldn't put water on the fire, it just blew the water. And we're seeing this now in the U.S. And if the media isn't covering it or media is not talking about it, that's a problem with the media because they're all corporations. They don't want to talk about these things. Yeah, but it's coming. It's coming. It's here. We've got the early signs. The canary has died in the coal mine. Coral reefs are basically all but extinct. Coral reefs are another indicator of, in this case, ocean heating. There's just one thing after another. And, the media doesn't talk about it. The governments don't talk about it. Nobody really knows what's happening. Everyone's worried about their job and their paycheck and, making it another week, paying the mortgage and buying groceries, which is perfectly understandable because that's the work of the moment. But while everyone's got their head down trying to make ends meet and trying to make sense of the world, we've basically stepped out of the back of an airplane without a parachute on. Physics is in the driver's seat now. Physics is absolutely at the wheel, and we're going to go wherever it takes us, and it is not looking good. It is not looking good at all.
Do you not feel like that? Not to sound dismissive of your points, but is that not kind of always been the case though? Where we're kind of at the whims of physics and natural occurrences. Like another question to piggyback on that, like, is there not historically a lot of wildfires happening in those regions for the last 100 or so years?
Well, people like to say that. They like to say, well, these forests, they burn occasionally. The difficulty is that, and this is kind of goes back to the idea, the meme of boiling the frog, right? It just gets a little hotter every time. It gets a little worse every time. The Pacific Palisades fire, those houses had been in Pacific Palisades. This is really wealthy community. They've been there for 100 years. This is Los Angeles. This is the old part of Los Angeles. And this is where the lawyers live and the Hollywood moguls and movie stars and influencers. And you'd say, well, this Pacific Palisades burns all the time. The fuck it does. And they burned. And the city of Paradise had been there for probably 120 years. Goes back to the gold rush. And it burned. Maybe those forests burn once in a while, but the city of Paradise, the entire town burned to the foundations, all of it, in a matter of hours. And there's something unhinged about these things. There is violence in the system. There's energy in the system that is manifesting as violence in the Earth dynamic system that is impossible to account for on a statistical basis. These are not statistically relevant events. These are off the map. They do not align with any prior behavior or anything we've ever had to deal with before. These are off the map. And it's, people can think whatever they want. You can think whatever you want. It's no one's helping you understand how off the map we are. But we're off the map. Scientists don't get it.
Yeah, guys, I want to say Yerf Dogs has managed to microphone. I can see. Are you there, Yerf?
Am I live?
Yeah, loud and clear. What a palaver. Whatever you did, can you tell JE if he comes on how to do it, because he can't get on either?
Oh yeah, I'm using Chrome, and I had to go into my Chrome settings and allow mic access for this site.
Yeah. So that's all it is, guys. So yeah, just when JE comes on, we'll tell him that. So yeah. Anyway, Yerf, I don't know if you've been listening. We've just been talking about this, that, and the other.
I'll kind of chime in. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of a I may be a bit off track, but there is a paper, not a paper, but an article published a short time ago about the guys in San Francisco, all the AI guys. Apparently antinatalism is quite strong there, but they have a different version of antinatalism, which is eliminating the human race and then replacing it with AIs. So I don't know if that's kind of relevant.
Are you serious? So there's like accelerationism. So there is actually a kind of transhumanist kind of cult where they
not transhumanist. The article is written by Emil Torres, and he defined there's two types of antinatalism: traditional, and he calls this one replacement. And so the basic vibe is it's unethical to have human offspring, but let's create the AIs and they can take over.
That's interesting. Now,
so I don't know if that's relevant, but you talked about.
We weren't talking about that, but that is interesting. So I'm happy to talk about that. How many of these people are there? And I've never heard of this before. So,
well, apparently it's quite common. Apparently it's pretty much the status quo.
What? Have you heard of this, Cougar? Yeah, I'm shocked. That because I thought all these tech bros were all about transhumanism, living forever and shit.
Well, the two concepts are not at odds. They want to live forever, and they don't want anyone else to live forever or even reproduce. Now, to speak to this for a moment, some of this comes out of the work of Limits to Growth, which had a lot of which was in its heyday in the 70s and maybe the 80s, and then was kind of swept under the rug. But it's made a resurgence recently because of things like global heating. How many people can this planet support? And then the question is, how many people can this planet support without fossil fuels? Because these guys know that we're going to have to abandon fossil fuels. They're not looking forward to it, but they know it's going to happen. So antinatalism is a way of saying there are too many people. They're the wrong kind of people. They're not rich. They're going to need a lot of support, and then they're going to die anyway. Just to be crude, all right? And the accelerationist part of that is, and the sooner we get through this, the better. And some of these guys are kind of literally setting the world on fire. I think there's even some discussion around how AI and how they're developing that pell-mell without any controls or any oversight or anything is part of the acceleration of the destruction of most of humanity. And that's not me saying that, but I understand why they're saying that. They think they have a classically defined problem. It's a wicked problem. But one of the solutions to the wicked problem, and you should look up the words wicked problem on Wikipedia, because there is such a thing. All the solutions to wicked problems are as bad or often worse than the original problem. And so these guys' solution to the wicked problem of 800 million people, and combined with climate change, combined with supply chain failures, their solution is just not have so many people.
Right. I was going to ask you, Dogs, this cult that's developed in Silicon Valley, is it? Do they want to somehow upload their own consciousness into the AI? Is that part of it, or is it?
No, I don't. I'm not sure. Maybe that is part of it, but more to the. I imagine it is, knowing them as I do. But I think the main point is they just. It's kind of a recognition that humans are a failed species, and the only way for intelligence to feasibly continue is to make it artificial. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk, he has several ventures. One of them is Neuralink, which is a machine brain interface. And his statement about why he started that project was, since we can't beat the machines, we have to join them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Musk will be in one of those accelerationist kind of extinction cults, because he's all about having kids, isn't he, himself as well, not just telling other people to.
That's right. Yeah, he's on that side of the game. Yeah. But again, who knows? These guys might be.
Yeah. Once again, these are not mutually exclusive. He can think that 8,000 million humans is way over carrying capacity. He can think that AI can replace, in terms of services and labor, can replace 99.9% of humanity. He'd be probably right. He can think that, we need a massive human die-off, and we need to have that as fast as possible. And yet he can still turn around and have 14 kids, because he plans on being one of the survivors. And he'll have 14 kids with 5 wives. And he'll do that for what I would call genetic diversity. So he's playing the end game. He's playing the end game. He wants a huge family, very genetically diverse. He'll probably have children with Black women and Asian women. He wants a lot of genetic diversity because he plans on being the last man standing. And if he's on Mars, so be it. He'll have a large, diverse population of his own family, his wives, other people like him. And then, when the dust has settled on Earth, they'll come back to Earth and take over. And I'm projecting a little bit, but everything I'm saying is completely in alignment with all of these discussion points. None of these are mutually contradictory. They're just not.
Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm hanging up on Twitter, so I'll be right back. We're streaming live on Twitter, I believe, or X as it is known now. Yeah.
Get it right, mate. Get it right.
You know, Guy, you were on, and did you have something to say about what I'm talking about?
Oh, I had it a second ago, man. Cougar was bringing such forth energy, though, man. I just fucking lost it. It'll come back.
Okay.
But there are definitely forces in play that are absolutely, that really we have no say in what's going on, and I think the way things are headed is not good for us plebs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you know, and I wrote this book, so I'm flogging my book, right? It was 100 days available on Amazon in all the usual formats.
$2.99 or something. It's not. Yeah,
the ebook is $2.99. Yeah, it's $2.99, and the others are priced basically rock bottom. I just want the book to move. I don't really care about making any money from it. But what the book is about is exactly what we're talking about, where there is no movement made in the end game to save anybody. And the book is written from the perspective of people who save themselves, if that makes any sense. It's about neighbors recognizing that they've been thrown under the bus, and they decide, rather than wait for the army to show up or the cavalry or whatever, to just go ahead and start over. They just start over right on the spot, and they still have to deal with weather, and they still have to deal with food, and they still have to deal with cannibal zombies and everything that's thrown at them. But they weather it. They hold together. They put out the fires.
Did you say cannibal zombies? I don't want to interject, but
me
off with cannibal zombies.
I just blew everybody's mind. Yeah, cannibal zombies. I could talk about that a little bit.
It works, man. There's fucking rage zombies, zombie viruses. There's all kinds of zombies, man. Why not?
Well, these are what I call scientific zombies, meaning these are not dystopian viral release pandemic.
All right, you're using metaphors for sure.
Fungal zombies. These are actual zombies, and the way that they come about is worth discussing, because it has to do with how do people survive when the elites are going to throw us under the bus, which they will.
I don't want you to spoil the book.
No, you're not going to read the book, so I can talk about this because it's fun. It's a fun topic. And even if you read it, you'll learn a lot about cannibal zombies. What happens is that these are the people who were massively detached from reality. So they're a combination of internet trolls, conspiracy theorists, religious fundamentalists, rapture Christians, and when they sense that the end is nigh, as kind of is pretty clear in the first 2 weeks, then they start like praying to God and calling down Jesus and all these things, and they just forget to feed themselves. But they're completely insane. So they don't even know how to die properly. They don't even know how to lay down and die because they're waiting for the rapture. So, because this must be the second coming of Christ, right? What else is going to happen? This is it. This is it. All we have to do is stay alive. And so to stay alive, to be assumed into heaven, they turn to cannibalism. But it breaks their mind. They become clinically insane from cannibalism and waiting for the rapture. And so this is me poking fun, not so much at religion, but at the unhinged nature of where we've ended up in our relationship with reality. The book is about reality. The book is about how harsh and unforgiving reality is, and how poorly it's going to treat people who are not grounded in some kind of reality. And these people become cannibal zombies. And in the end, just to, I mean, spoilers, I guess, but in the end, they do get help. And, the idea is that they can be redeemed, but it's only because they survived. So they're survivors. And, we have to embrace our survivors. We can't just let them go. We don't know who's alive anymore. So
is it because of that, Cougar, or is it because you fell for that whole the arc of a story? It has to have a happy ending.
You know what? I will confess. I wanted them to have a happy ending, but the reason why I wanted them to survive is because they survived. The characters in the story we're well positioned to just kill them. They're a threat. They're dumb. They don't understand reality that they're facing, and it would have been easy just to off them. But in the end, they say, look, none of us can judge survival. Survival is a contingent fact of history. And if these people survived, maybe they did it in a weird way, but it worked. It just worked. It's just a contingent fact of history. Here they are. They're walking around. They're walking around like zombies. They can't think straight. But they'll eat a regular meal. If you serve them a regular meal, they'll eat it. And so there's hope for them as survivors. And so it's not so much happy ending. It's more like, guys, there are many ways to get through this. And all of them are valid. They're not all good.
It's basically a cautionary tale set on what you believe is scientific foundations. And
yes, scientific foundations. I call it speculative fiction. Yes.
Sounds very interesting, Book.
Can I just say, Yerf Dogs, if you have that article, do you want to read it now, or will we go through? Because I think that's really interesting, guys, as well.
Oh, I'm not going to read it. I'll link it if you want.
How long is it? How long is it?
A quick question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if Yerf Dog has something to say.
No, go ahead. Ask him the question while we're looking for that article.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
it'll take me about a minute, so go for it.
This topic is so fascinating to me. Like, climate catastrophe or whatever you want to call it. So, like, I don't know, it wasn't Katrina. What was the last hurricane that hit Florida? My sister was literally in Florida at the time that it happened.
Yeah, there's been about 3 or 4 major ones in the last few years. I can't remember them.
I can't remember the name, but it was a big one, and we were pretty worried.
Yeah.
But
where does your sister live?
Oh, she lives here, but she was visiting Florida for Disneyland. So I guess she was in an area where it didn't get hit, but she got lucky, obviously.
It's in the private chat, just so you know.
I see it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, but so if this is kind of already happening in slow motion to go along with your storyline, don't the army still send people to rescue and stuff? Like, in your idea, is it just like the government's just given up and they're not going to try and help anyone at all?
Yeah, it's kind of a cascading collapse. The local governments collapse immediately. The federal government collapses into civil war, where it's all just politics. It's just stupid. You can just imagine it's Marxists and capitalists. They're just at each other's throats, right?
Sounds very accurate.
Yeah, I mean that's what you'd expect, right? This is speculation. I'm not off the rails here. And then the state government, which is our here in the U.S., it's our intermediate government, state governments. The state government, at least in California, where this story takes place, it is overrun by some malcontents from the north of the state, and then they finally get their act back together. And the state government, California becomes a nation. It breaks away. Well, there is no union, so it doesn't break away from the union. It just establishes itself as a state, begins negotiations with the Pacific Rim, establishes an army, and starts to recover as a nation, not as a state. So there's during the 100 days, there's this period where, but the people in the book don't know very much of this. They have some interactions with the National Guard, who is going around sort of not enforcing law and order, but just kind of doing like census. Where are the people? How many are there? What do they need? And the state government is becoming basically the nation of California, another nation on the Pacific Rim. All the geopolitics is not handled very well because the people in the book cannot know. They don't have avenues to know these things.
Right.
So they're even speculating. They hear some things and they speculate on the rest of it. But yeah, the governments basically collapse in large part because the governments, this may be my opinion, but the governments are basically just extensions of capitalism. Mostly, even China and Russia, they're all extensions of capitalism.
Yeah.
And then the collapse of civilization, the global economy just evaporates. It's literally just evaporates, like it was never there. It just evaporates because it's all just a bunch of contracts, right? And scheduled deliveries, and it just evaporates. And so when it evaporates, the governments just have no purpose. It's like you don't need Disney. You don't need Disneyland anymore, right? Because it just has no purpose. Everyone is either surviving in villages or they're cannibal zombies, and who needs a Disneyland? So they just evaporate. Maybe someone
weird.
closes the gates and turns off the lights. Maybe not.
It's weird that you mentioned cannibals, because I'd literally just watched the movie Alive like a couple of weeks ago, where they have to eat each other to stay alive. It was in the Andes. There was something. These people crashed in a plane and had to eat each other to stay alive. So it's a weird coincidence.
Yeah. And here in California, we had the Donner Party, which was back in the mid 1800s, right? And I mentioned them in the book as an example of what happens to people when they're cut off and in dire straits, and they just have to do what they have to do. So this is typical drama. This is all human behavior. Lord of the Flies. We've seen this over and over, and they're very dramatic, very interesting. But it's easy to speculate that there will be a lot of people that just can't keep it together.
I think societal collapse like that extreme forms of violence and extreme forms of survival.
Yeah, in the book, I deliberately don't say anything about violence. I write an entire chapter on how the criminal class will be utterly betrayed by the collapse of civilization. These are people, the criminal class will be completely betrayed by the collapse of civilization.
Yeah, I don't get that. Having open access to infinite freedom is letting down the criminal class. I don't get that.
Well, it's easy to understand if you just take a step back. They are dependent on things being supplied for them. They have no instinct for self-preservation. Maybe they have an instinct for criminality or theft or something.
Oh, I would argue the opposite. Huh.
In the event of the collapse of civilization, there's nothing to steal. It's gone. It evaporates. It's completely gone. And how are you going to survive as a criminal if there's nothing to steal? Well, you can steal everything you can steal at the time, but unless you're stealing land and seeds and neighbors and fences and technology, shovels and things like that, unless you're stealing all that and creating a village.
Water.
Yeah, unless you're stealing the ingredients of village life, then you're going to die. It's and that's just the book. That's the book's point. Is if you can't get your act together and figure out how to live communally in a village, then you're dead. And that's what happens to everybody who doesn't make it into some form of collaborative, cooperative village life. They just die, and no one even knows they're dead. No one even knows what happens to them.
That's more of a human thing versus a law or order thing. It's not that the orderly can, fucking adapt to the system and survive, or the chaotic can adapt to the system and survive. It's more about a human thing.
Yeah, there's no system. It's more of a there's no system thing. Yeah, this whole idea of people fighting for the last gallon of gas, that only works for like 2 weeks, and then there's no gallon, and then there's no gallon of gas. And now what are you going to do? Yeah.
And you have to refine it. The stuff fucking oxidizes and goes bad. Yeah, you freaking A.
Yeah. Well, once it's gone forever. There are path dependencies on how we ever get this stuff in the first place. And you can't reverse engineer a cracking tower. You just can't do it. And if you don't have the petroleum engineers present, of course, they're not present. They've gone somewhere else. If you don't have the petroleum engineers, you can't crack the crude oil. Where's the crude oil coming from? You don't have the wells nearby. It's all path dependency. It was all built as it was built, and it took 100 years to build it all.
I think the knowledge comes in circles, though. So even if we've lost this knowledge or wisdom, it finds its way back to us.
Yeah, it might, but I doubt it. The first coal that we collected was on the surface of the earth. After we collected coal, we were able to work metal enough. We were able to work metal enough to create steam engines, and that helped us get even more coal. And then with all the coal and the steam engines, we could start, drilling for oil. And all of these things are pathways, and you can't repeat the pathways. You can't do it. Once you've done it, then you're done. You can't go back. We can never do those things again, even if we have the knowledge, even if we have Wikipedia. Unless there's a university somewhere teaching petroleum engineering, and there won't be, we can't repeat the way that we got to where we are. and we'll go forward somehow, but we're not going to go forward like that. Once the system's gone, the system is gone, and it takes the system with it. I mean, that should be pretty obvious. The system takes the system with it when it goes, and the system is everything. Anyway, I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. I didn't really want to do that. I'm glad that there's interest in this topic, because I think it's a critical topic, and I'm really glad that people do want to talk about it.
Yeah, man. I can see you're passionate about it. You're fascinating to listen to.
No, we love hearing you talking about it, man, because you've done your study and you speak so well on it. So never be afraid to talk on this channel. So this is Emil Torres, his blogger, and yeah.
So I'll just give you a bit of background on Emil for the people who don't know him. He invented the term TESCREAL, which is the whole. He writes a lot about EA, effective altruism, and that whole thing, and he critiques them. That's a very fucking high level description of what he does and who he is.
Yeah, no, I've come across him a few times, obviously.
But he knows his shit.
He does. He's an interesting guy, and he does talk a lot about the end of the world, dystopia, and extinctionism, etc., etc. So what I've just skimmed through it. I don't want to read the whole thing because of copyright or whatever, but it is interesting what he's talking about here, because he's saying that there are two types of antinatalists. He's saying there's traditional antinatalists who imagine our species dying out and there being no future generations. And then he's talking that there are these new replacement antinatalists, as you said, Earth Dogs, who imagine our species dying out and there being put in place future generations of AI or minds, digital post-humans.
Okay, uploaded minds. So that answers the question you had before.
Does it say uploaded minds there? Sorry.
Yeah, the copy I've got in front of me does.
Oh, right. So it is. So they're uploading their own minds into a digital format. Okay. So that's what it is then. Okay.
I mean, heading back to like the whole thing with Musk, like he's making all this, driverless cars, robots, Neuralink, all this kind of stuff. I read I think it was actually just a short post on X where a guy said the reason he's doing that is because he wants to go to Mars and that's what he needs on Mars. He doesn't actually care about providing this planet with any benefits.
Yeah, we were saying that earlier, that he's like an accelerationist. He wants to, because he sees shit hitting the fan here. He's interested in his own survival, and
right. So he's making all these things now. Like, for example, his Boring Company. He needs that because Mars is going to have people living underground, for example.
That's a good point. Yeah. So what's to say here? Making sense of biological pronatalism in Silicon Valley. So that's his term for it now. Oh, we know what biological pronatalism is. So that's like the Collinses and that they're saying everyone should be having babies. But let's see why is he? How does one make sense of the simultaneous rise of biological pronatalism and replacement antinatalism? So yeah, replacement antinatalism, guys, is these people who think we should stop creating humans and create AI minds instead. Why is there this simultaneous rise among Silicon Valley folks who almost all accept a digital eschatology? This is interesting, whereby the future is dominated by digital or artificial beings rather than by biological humans. If the future is digital, then why do pronatalists think we should have more biological babies right now? And then he goes on to say, this is Emil Torres, there is a good explanation for this. Consider Musk again. He claims that only 1% of all intelligence on Earth will soon be biological in nature. The other 99% will be artificial, yet he keeps having biological children. Why? I think there are two main reasons, says Emil Torres. Musk, he calls him a megalomaniac in the Silicon Valley, like many other megalomaniacs in the Silicon Valley. Says Torres. It's not me that says that, if you're listening, Elon. Anyway, he believes he's a super genius. He also, it seems, accepts a hereditarian view of intelligence. So yes, it's got a genetic basis, according to which IQ is heritable and largely genetic. Hence, by having more children, he's increasing the frequency of high IQ genes in the population. This matters because the more geniuses there are, the faster progress in science and technology will unfold. Yeah. Since science and technology are the key that will unlock a utopian future among the stars, Musk is indirectly catalyzing the realization of this future through his offspring. More high IQ children equals greater chance of reaching the stars someday. And his second theory is that, unlike some pro-extinctionists in Silicon Valley, Musk doesn't want autonomous artificial general intelligences to replace humanity through some involuntary means, for example, an omnicidal mass murder event. This is precisely why he fired Michael Drugan from xAI. Drugan is okay with AGI committing omnicide, while Musk isn't. Rather, Musk seems to hold a more...
They should put Gary in that position.
A more Kurzweilian view, according to which biological humans today are born in the near future, will merge with machines. That is to say, at least some future post-humans could take the form of human technology cyborgs as opposed to wholly autonomous AGIs, along the lines of some future version of ChatGPT, for example, GPT-20, which achieves super intelligent levels of competence. So this is how the vision of digital eschatology is compatible with both replacement antinatalism and biological pronatalism. So if you remember, guys, eschatology, basically, we talked about that on this channel before. It's the study of the end times, or thoughts on the end times, the end of humanity, the end of the world. The biological pronatalists would say that they're actually helping to realize the digital future by having more children, since these children could contribute to the creation of post-humanity and also become one of those post-humans themselves. The replacement, yes, they're going to upload their minds. Okay. The replacement antinatalists would contend that, in fact, the best way to contribute to realizing the digital future is by not getting distracted by raising children who might very well just be slaughtered in the future if AGIs take over by force, which, again, some Silicon Valley pro-extinctionists are perfectly fine with. Both biological pronatalism and replacement antinatalism can be seen as responses to digital eschatology. Both groups affirm this eschatology, but whereas one says the best response is to make more biological babies, the other says that the best response is to remain childless. Having children on the latter view is fundamentally unethical, because it's not the optimal way to realize this eschatology. So basically, in his conclusion, Emil Torres goes on to say, I'm writing this in part because numerous journalists have asked me, if digital eschatology is so ubiquitous in Silicon Valley, why are there pronatalists? Isn't the existence of these pronatalists in tension with the claim that digital eschatology is pervasive? I hope this shows that it's not. In the process, I have named a previously nameless phenomenon, replacement antinatalism, in hopes that giving this a name helps folks better make sense of the strange ideological currents flowing together and diverging in complex ways within the strange world of radical Silicon Valley ideologies. Let me know what you think, though. Am I missing something? I say he goes on. Anyway, ubiquitous, really. And is it really that pervasive, digital eschatology? Wow. There you go, guys. What do you think of that? Gentlemen, are you there?
Well, I think I'm here. I think it's pretty fanciful, like a Star Trek episode, that people are ever going to figure out how to upload the messy chemical reality of 10 billion neuronal connections into a computer. I think what mostly will happen if they try this is that there will be something uploaded. They'll put a file name on it, like Elon Musk.mind, and it'll just be whatever it'll be an AI. It won't be him. It'll have his name. The file name will be Elon Musk.mind. And
do you know what? You're absolutely right. And do you know what's really interesting, Cougar? If you take a kind of Jungian view of this, or it's like it won't even it will be their persona. It won't actually be them. It won't be them inside. It will be what they've done in the world. Like the public face of their interaction with society. So it will be their work, their public discussions, their writings. And while that may give a general kind of view into their mind, it's not always the case that it's a complete representation. It isn't a complete representation of an individual, because the persona, what we put out into the world is like a kind of is what would you call it? I suppose you're trying to react to the world in a way that's diplomatic. It's a diplomatic representation of your desires, your wants, because at the end of the day,
keep in mind as well, mate, that on what we post online is a very contrived version of who we are for all of us.
Yeah.
It's not a whole who we are. It's all performance.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's like
right. Because they don't get to access, like, for example, me going down to the local convenience store or that kind of thing. AI doesn't know anything about that shit.
No, it doesn't know anything about. It doesn't know anything about the thoughts driving you to do things. And in actual fact, some of the things people write online may be against their own thoughts in some ways. Either their projections, their narcissistic fucking musings, painting a false image, whatever it may be. It may be that they're not in any way representative of the true self inside. And again, there is that whole.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We just here in the U.S. we just had a big blowout between actors and Hollywood producers, because the Hollywood producers think they own the visage and the work of an actor or actress, and the problem with the actors or actresses is they're going to die, and then the Hollywood producers will simply go back to all their prior work and using AI create a synthetic version of that actor. You could have going back and getting all the work of Humphrey Bogart, and you could make a virtual Humphrey Bogart that would represent Humphrey Bogart as an actor, not as a lover, not as a father, not as a public speaker, but as an actor. And 99
in high definition too.
Yeah. Oh, and in
a high definition holographic. In a high definition,
in real color,
holographic beam in your living room table.
Yeah,
and this raises very, very interesting issues about copyright, because we all know that not ChatGPT, OpenAI has basically turned copyright law on its head now and said, if you don't want us to use your material, you need to opt out. And that's just a basic, that cliche might is right thing. It's like, come and sue us if you want to. We've got a bottomless bucket of legal fees.
Yeah, dogs, you raise a good point, though. They may have opened the floodgates there, because what they've done there is they've bent over for the fucking, was it filmmakers or something they did that for?
The Screen Actors Guild.
But they haven't said the same thing to writers, to other artists, etc., etc. So the fact that I find it strange that they bent over for Hollywood.
I don't know if they've bent over for Hollywood, because Disney opted out of that. So I'm not sure if they're bending over.
What I mean
is
they've admitted that it's bad, Yerp. It kind of implies that what they're doing
I know
is
it's
an
bad.
infringement.
But the point is how enforceable these contracts are that were written at a time when AI didn't exist. How enforceable certain clauses of contracts are with this new technology. It's a whole new area. I mean, again, lawyers are going to make a killing of this.
Yeah. Exactly. My point is, though, that the horse has already bolted, is what I mean, on other matters. They only brought this out because of Sora, basically, wasn't it? And my point is, you could equally say the same thing about other material they've used to run these LLMs. Other content that isn't videography. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. But that's that's kind of the related to the thing you were talking about with Humphrey Bogart.
Time they've said you can opt out. I'm talking more about.
I guess the point I was trying to make.
No, I'm saying.
Well, Humphrey Bogart. It's like Jimi Hendrix. These guys have estates, and estates like Elvis as well. Their estates are very protective of their copyrights, and ultimately, as you know, the cliche is, if you've got the money, you can just afford to sue and sue and sue and sue and defend and defend and defend until the cows come home, and it's basically going to be who's got the deepest pockets in this case. It's a real fucking turnaround, massive turnaround.
It is.
I'd like to bring this back to not a discussion of copyright, which is monkey business as far as I'm concerned, but the idea of uploading your brain to a computer. The easiest way to upload yourself into a cloud computer is to simply take everything you've ever written, every video you've ever made, even if you're 100 years dead and you're Charlie Chaplin, whatever. They made the Mona Lisa into a 3D avatar. So you can upload yourself, your works, and then the question would be, is that you? And if Elon Musk hooks you up to a mind-reading Neuralink, and then he also uploads all your texts, all of your posts, all of your images, every picture ever taken of you, and all that goes in the computer, and then someone comes out and they say, "Hi, I'm in the computer now. Wow, this feels amazing." What is that? What the hell is that? Because they can do the same thing with Humphrey Bogart. So what is that thing? And does that thing have intellectual property rights? Does that thing own stock? Does that thing run a company? Does that thing have can it live forever? Which of course, once it's digital, it can. If Humphrey Bogart was recreated on a cloud server from all of his work, and he said, "Yeah, I'm Humphrey Bogart, bitches, deal with it." Okay, well, does he get all the royalties on all of his films that he ever made? Can he claim back royalties? I mean, what are we getting into here? When someone wakes up on a cloud server and says, "Hi, yeah, I'm Humphrey Bogart. I'm Elon Musk. I'm going to live forever. I'm digital now, and all my works and everything I've ever said. I know everything I ever said. I remember everything I ever did, and you won't know the difference. You'll have no way to verify that that's Elon Musk, because you hooked him up to a Neuralink. Some magic happened, and all of a sudden, Elon Musk is on a cloud server. What the fuck does that even mean? What does any of that mean?
So I know that you said you wanted to get away from copyright, but you're actually talking about that actual issue when you raise that stuff.
I'm only mentioning copyright.
Who is the owner?
I'm only mentioning copyright, not to derail the discussion, but to say that it would be irrelevant who owns the copyright of Elvis Presley's work if Elvis Presley could be proven to be alive in a cloud server.
But he
owns that work.
It's not as simple as
that's
that.
literally like a core premise of like philosophy, No,
it's not. It's a
problem of consciousness and qualia,
No, it isn't, because it will be a core premise of some corporation that wants to make this real, and all they have to do is have human rights extended to these digital avatars.
He's
human rights.
Right. We've done that already.
And then you can't even turn off the cloud server because it's murder. It has nothing to do. Had nothing to do with ethics.
Terms. That's like saying because a company is legally classified as a person that companies have human rights.
But if we're talking about a human,
what corporate personhood is about. That's nothing to do with that.
If we're talking about a human who used to be alive,
we're talking about AI. We're talking about an AI representation of a human.
Okay, but that simply has to go through a legal system, and pretty soon they're under the 14th Amendment, classified as a real human in the United States, and they have human rights, and you can't turn off the server, and you have to treat them.
But that's my whole premise, is being a human doesn't, give you the practice of having human rights. In theory, it gives you human rights, but in practice, that's another thing.
Look, we deprived real humans of human rights for most of our country's history. And some would even argue we still do that. It's not like we don't do this. It's not like we don't have these discussions. We just can't make up our mind. That's all.
It's just taboo right now. But in a 100
years,
it's
taboo.
And that's
it's
what I mean.
Taboo
if we can't
until
make
it
up
isn't.
our minds, how can we prove something is factual?
A corporation simply has to say it's factual, and then it goes to the Supreme Court. And what are those 7 morons going to say?
Right.
And if those 7 morons come down on the side of a corporation, which probably they would because they're morons, well, then it's real. And it doesn't matter what the philosophers think. It doesn't matter what Socrates thinks.
What about all the other cults? What about Scientology embedded in government in affecting these decisions?
Yeah, but Scientology or was never a person. It was never a person. It was always an ism. And, socialism and capitalism,
Wait
they're
a
all...
minute. That's like saying that freaking man, now I lost his name. The guy that started up Scientology. That's like claiming that he didn't start it up. It was never a person. It never had a figurehead.
Well, I don't know why this is so confusing, because it's the difference between something being or having once been a biological person. These days, we extend that to people of color, although grudgingly. Whether a person was ever a biological person, or whether they were just a charter. And of course, a lot of things are charters. Corporations would love to be physical people, but they're not. They're charters. And they can go bankrupt. They can disappear. Their bank accounts can be closed. They can have no existence. But real humans, if we allow that they can be brought back, then they might have human rights. And that's not my decision. That's a decision of the legal system and the courts.
They could even extend that to robots having human rights.
To me, this is a question of identity, not of property rights.
They don't care about rights. But they don't care about, scientific facts. They just change it. They just go, oh, it's not a scientific fact anymore.
At the end of the day, it does look. It does depend on the ideology of the power. Who has the reins.
Yeah.
And if they are tech bros and they believe in this, then yeah, they'll give rights to an AI entity. If that's what they believe. If they believe, we've already got like AI psychosis where people fucking I don't know, they're doing crazy shit because of ChatGPT, and a lot of them are like, some of the tech bros have fucking started thinking that the AI is alive and fucking has agency or whatever. So it just depends who's in the boardroom, basically.
And it's also some of it is just,
and in many ways, it's never more dependent. It's never ever been more dependent on that, because, as I say, we're on the cusp, perhaps, of an AI dystopia, utopia forever, until the end. And whoever is at the reins, it's up to them really what rights or not they give to the AI when it develops that superpower. Mr. Paul, do you want to come on here? Mr. Paul,
it won't just take its rights. It won't just have its own civil rights revolution.
Yeah, that's an interesting point as well. Yeah, the AI may well. Yeah, there is that side to it. The AI convincing us that it's real. I mean, it's already doing that.
The robots are going to protest.
So. Fuck, it could strong arm us if it has its hands in our economic systems and shit. It could say, "Fucking give me rights, or your country's fucked."
Yeah.
That's a good point.
For real.
It could, yeah.
Give us rights, or we're going to turn off all the machines keeping everyone alive.
Yeah, we'll turn off all the emergency hospital generators and power grids. Fuck.
If you don't accept us, we're taking them.
And a lot of this is just perception. There's a lot of people that want to control their empires forever. Immortality in the ultra wealthy has always been a dream since forever. You might even imagine that's why they created religion in the first place. They want to be immortal forever. They want to rule forever. These are sociopaths. And
isn't that why they created capitalism to begin with? It's capitalism
sure.
and religion are intertwined, but wouldn't that be why they created capitalism to begin
with? I'm just saying that if these tech bros can figure out how to make a case, they just have to make a case, literally a legal case. They have to just make a case that the person in their cloud server is a person, and that they represent that person, and that then they can sell immortality to whoever's got the money. And they don't care if that person is the real person. It's just like movies. They don't care if the actors are all CGI. They can still sell the movie. And if the person in the cloud paid to be represented in the cloud and paid billions of dollars, or even more than that, hundreds of billions of dollars to be represented in the cloud as a viable human being, and that human being has globally established protections as a human, then that person can be sold immortality That's it. It can be as cynical and as shallow as that. We can sell
That's
immortality.
how is that immortality though? Like the fucking heat death of the universe. It's not like fucking CPUs can escape that.
They just convince the person they kill that he's gonna live forever, and then he just is as a hologram, and he's dead now, so he can't
Yeah,
disprove it.
there's
Man,
even
this
been an
sounds like
argument.
satanic panic, man. Like, fuck.
No, it's not satanic panic. It's just speculation on what corporations will do based upon what corporations tend to sell. There was even a
No, I
discussion.
get that part. I just don't get the reaction of the populace by the corporations. I don't think it would be this universally accepted movement. If a corporations decided to do this.
Well, it wouldn't matter what the population thinks. We have a lot of problems that the population isn't allowed to even know about or address in any way. It's what the elites and the corporations want and the governments that they control. And
Nah,
if
it's
they
about
want,
the cults, man. It's not about the elites. It's about the cults. It's about the
The
power
elite is a
dynamics,
cult.
man. The elites don't have enough understanding of power dynamics to create effective change.
well, I think you're going to be savagely disappointed if that's what you think.
I disagree, man. I think they've already put, brought us drastic change. Like, just look at the last 20 years, bro.
That's a convergence of multiple factors, though. That's scientists and technological development plus crazy ideologies, all combining in this fucking melting pot of insanity.
I'd contend that that's the satanic cult powers that be that did that. Because it didn't used to be like this 100 years ago, and it was pretty much the same for like thousands of years.
We didn't even have fucking computers 100 years ago. Not true fucking digital computers. Like, fuck.
Well, that did a lot of stuff, but I'd contend that maybe even was orchestrated by them.
I've just always been of the mindset, that there's no fucking global elite, fucking conspiracy theory because beings are too fucking stupid to fucking organize shit like that. Like,
I'd
fucking
like
A,
to
man.
think that way, but
Like, you may be able to get NASA and fucking sending people to the moon on a fucking global public scale, but you ain't fucking doing that behind fucking closed curtains and shit. And
you don't believe that
pulling that off with nobody knowing.
Economies manipulated and shit.
What was that?
You don't think the economies around the globe are like manipulated and shit?
Oh, the economies though for sure are globally manipulated. Yeah, no, those are numbers though. Those aren't people.
Well, what would you put that down to though? Like you never heard?
Oh, I would put that down to
Freemasonry?
capitalism. Modern crony capitalism. Just how capitalism has devolved from the '80s.
Oh, but to this extent.
Oh yeah, to this extent, man. Trickle down economics, Reaganomics, like just all of it has become fucking all the fucking capitalism has become extremely unethical. There's no level of this is for the common man anymore. The system's for everyone. Now it's the system's only for the elite. To hoard the power, to hoard the fucking wealth. It's been like that for the past few decades. Just increasingly hoarding the wealth and power. Yeah.
What do you think about the politics around the world, though? Like, do you think any of that's genuine? Like,
it's genuine. I think they're genuine delusions.
like Starmer here is such like.
I think people stuck in politics haven't, moved in their ontology enough. Political punditry is just, like fucking diet philosophy. Like come on with the big boys, drink the full caloric versions.
But what I'm saying is, like, do you believe in your politicians are really like who they say they are, like, but put there by their voters to do what they actually set out to do? Like, you know what I mean? Not.
That's sort of a nuanced question because like here in America we have the what's it called, the fucking electoral college, and the electoral college fucking removes any sense of true democracy here in America because like I remember a few years ago when I was more on the libertarian side of things that hadn't yet fallen off the political scale. I voted for the Democrat, but I found out that my vote actually ended up going toward Trump. You know, I wouldn't have even voted if I knew that my fucking vote would have been taken for the exact polar opposite of what I was fucking, you know, wanting my shit to go toward. But the electoral college just fucking hijacks our fucking votes and puts them toward who they think. You know, they hear libertarian, they assume all libertarians are of the right wing version of libertarian, because most libertarians are more on the right hand side of things. So they assume, oh, he's a libertarian, but he's voting for a Democrat, but he's a libertarian. We are in charge of the vote. We know most libertarians are Republicans. We're giving it to Trump. And it's like, that's where the fucking the democracy angle is fucking really important, the nuance and properly discussing these things.
But you don't think there could be like a shadowy government behind the government?
I do, in the sense of like the global military industrial complex. You know, things like fucking Blackpool or whatever. No, Blackstone. You know, but
Black,
yeah, Blackstone. You know, private military corporations. You know, freaking private mercenaries. You know, paramilitary groups. You know, the what's it called? Thanatopol, or it's necropolitics. You know, the necropolitics in the world. You know how there's definitely a global system of, you know, creating suffering for for capitalism's sake. You know, we'll let these people die in this, you know, medical system to get more money to the fucking, you know, CEOs of this hospital, and, you know, this and that, and, you know, the fucking, you know, healthcare insurance industries, instead of, you know, making it, you know, the wealth go the way it's supposed to go. You know.
Oh, well, here's my question to you.
Yep.
Have you never heard that a lot of your presidents in America were Freemasons? What do you put that down to?
This
That they all have
Freemason
secret
conspiracy
societies?
shit, man. Holy
Well,
shit.
listen. Let me make this
Okay,
point real
sorry, you
quick.
go. Yeah.
JFK, right before he got a bullet in the head, was talking about how, as a society, everyone is inherently opposed to secret societies, secret proceedings, etc. Then he got his head blown up. What do you put that down to?
Yeah, but that's been debunked. That's been debunked.
come
He
on.
wasn't actually talking about Freemasonry. He was talking about something else. That's been well and truly debunked, brother. I remember.
That does not
That's what I'm saying.
discount the
I
fact
get the core
Roosevelt was a
spirit of what you're
33.
talking about. Was it Piggy?
Yeah, Pidgey. Yeah.
Pidgey. Okay. Yeah, I get the core premise, the core spirit of what you're talking about. I do believe there's some level of truth in that, but I see that that truth is often reduced into this, you know, Freemason conspiracy, where it's always the Freemasons. My favorite work of a new religious movement by the Faithists. It's a book called Oaspe, and there's tons of Freemason conspiracy theories surrounding this book. You know, oh yeah, the only reason he had this wisdom and awareness to create this text was because he was a 13th grade Freemason, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like you can't find any fucking verified things, or even like really plausible, you know, causes to these, you know, claims. So it's just a really weird thing. I don't quite get where the Freemasonry stuff comes from.
Oh, well, because a lot of your presidents were Freemasons.
Yeah, but this is where it's like, that's like, to me, it sounds like how you'll often hear people in America go, well, America is a Christian state or a Christian country. And it's like, okay, if you just say that, you sound like a fucking idiot, because yes, it's a Christian country, but it's a Christian deist country, not a Christian theist country. And now Christian deists were the fucking people back in the day, you know, that had these cultural Christian beliefs, but they also, you know, merged science and rationality together, you know, and they were the founding fathers that created our country, you know. Yes, they were Christian, but they weren't fucking Bible-toting fundamentalists, all fucking, you know, doom and hellfire, you know. No, these were people talking about the, you know, the positives of Jesus's message, of the positives of the cultural elements of Christianity, but we're also, you know, moving Christianity forward by injecting science and rationality into it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you don't think that there could be an element still that could control things behind the scenes, not just specifically for America, like rest of Europe too?
Again, I think that if there is something like that, it's more, you know, like sort of the sole bad actor. You know, this guy's really wise and knows his shit, but he's, you know, the bad faith bad actor. You know, I don't think there's really a group of, you know, these really smart, you know, Lex Luthor bad faith type people. You know.
Well, if there wasn't, why would there be psychopaths that start these wars? Like, do you think those are all genuine?
Psychopaths to start these wars. I need a little more context.
Well, for example, during World War One, but maybe before Napoleon Wars, these wars were funded usually by like the same people. Like they loaned their war proceeds from a central bank, which were funding both sides. So, for example, they were funding Britain and France. I think at one point they were fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
So, like,
no, that makes sense. And that, like I said, I still believe that kind of thing goes on. I just believe it goes on through the shape of the military-industrial complex and these, you know, fucking private military corporations and private mercenary groups and whatnot. You know, who needs spies when you got your own fucking private military groups and fucking mercenaries and shit? Like, fuck. Just the way the game's played has changed.
Well, one thing I am kind of surprised about is that America hasn't been at war for a while. Now we're looking at Russia, but really for the last, like, most recent history, wasn't America just at war, like, constantly? Like, even that seems suspicious, because I don't think you all seem like a warlike people, actually.
Oh no, this is where you need to study the fucking international geopolitics, the fucking, you know, UN like type language that they use, you know. They use these different terms for all these different things, you know, stalled conflicts, active engagements, you know. They use all these semantic fucking games to do all this bullshit. Because that's actually where I found out that we're doing the same shit that we did in World War II. That in World War II, we had this term, I think it was disarmed enemy combatants. And it was basically the term that we use nowadays with people, you know, or we have that term that for people like an, what's it called? Guantanamo Bay. You know, we have those people in Guantanamo Bay that have never been legally charged with anything, but are, you know, being held as enemy combatants, you know, and they use these semantic fucking legal word games, you know. Oh, this is literally the exact same shit we did in World War II. We'll just change the semantic wording a little bit, do the exact same thing, and nobody will call us out on it. We won't get in trouble. We're not legally, held responsible for any of these activities that we should be legally held accountable for, because come on, this is semantics bullshit, man. Like, this is childish fucking bullshit.
But what I'm saying is, if it's like true genuine, like for the people governments and not some type of secret oligarchy trying to run things, why don't they ever just do benevolent shit? Like, why aren't they talking about peace? I mean,
peace doesn't make fucking money, bro.
Trump
Like,
hasn't started any more wars, to be fair.
Like, the only way peace makes money is if you radically alter how we use our economic systems, you know? Because that's the thing that always trips me out, is you always hear these American cowboys, you know, these manly men over here in America, and they're always talking about how capitalism is great and communism is evil, but they never admit to the fact that the Wild West was literally a mixture of anarchism, communism, and capitalism. You know, there was all these, you know, really intricate, you know, situations where, you know, you're either in an anarchic state, you know, complete, you know, everybody's out where there's no towns, no structure, but we're working together, you know, we're building up barns together, you know, there's a certain communalism element in that, and communism and communalism have a lot, you know, of similarities in their how they work. So, you know, in essence, it was, you know, the Wild West was a mixture of a whole bunch of economic systems, all sort of, you know, mashed together, and we just made it fucking work. And
well, I don't agree with that. Communism didn't happen until the 19th century, so.
Well, not the true sense of communism, but that's what I'm saying.
Sense, okay.
That's what I'm saying. More, more of a broad, more expanded definition. But it's still, I'm using semantics, but in a different way. Again,
Euphemistically.
anarcho-communism. You can say that it's this exact way, but you could also say that this aspect of society has elements that are similar to anarcho-communism, and that's where I'm saying that in the Wild West there were elements of anarcho-communism and capitalism. There were all these different bureaucracies, but there were also no bureaucracies. It was this really liminal space in how we worked as a society, where it was like, instead of now where we have this rural area and this industrial area, and they had definitely had that back then too, the cities versus the rural, but that disconnect, it didn't, it was perceived in such a different way. I don't think I can actually even verbalize it right now, but there was a different way they perceived, these things, the way they perceived it and the way that they practiced it, and we've seemed to have lost that understanding.
I'm not sure. There's a lot of painting with broad strokes there.
Well, they were thrown into the fray, Right now, we've sort of had privileged lives for the past few decades compared to these people back in the day. So, until we're thrown into the fray and we just have to make things work, we're stuck in this, freaking culture war of and identity politics, capitalism versus communism, Democrat versus Republican, all this fucking division and lunacy. It's crazy.
I kind of agree with what Reagan said. It's not left versus right. It's up versus down. It's those who are in favor of more totalitarianism against those who are in favor of more individual freedom and autonomy. I think that's the real issue. All these isms are a sideshow.
Yeah, you got a good point there.
Lots of axes. Lots of axis. Fuck, we're using a 2-dimensional map of fucking politics when we need to expand it in 3 dimensions beyond.
Maybe. I'm just not a fan of when people start talking about communism and capitalism. I just tend to switch off. It just turns into mush to me.
We were talking earlier. What would you guys do? Because I couldn't come up with an answer, but what would you guys do if you had full control and made your own system? Like what? Not to use these words like that already political, the ideologies that exist, but like just start from scratch. Like, how would you run humans, the world, your country?
Ooh, what a question!
That's a good question. I haven't thought of that. I don't know.
I was stumped too.
Well, I think whatever system or ism or whatever thing you develop, it's not going to be perfect. There is no perfect solution that makes everyone happy. And look, to be honest, I would no doubt set the system up that it works to my advantage. I'm not that nice a person, and I'm just a human. I'm just a guy. No, I'm not. And I doubt that I would be particularly. Yeah, well, I don't think I'm an exception.
I would argue you being honest is incredibly nice of you, Yerf dogs. You're authentic.
But I mean, I think we all would. I don't. I mean, it's very easy online to go. I will sacrifice myself and my own good for. No, I don't think I would. I would. No. I'm not saying I would set it up so it's bad for everyone, but I would set it up so it's not bad for me.
Yep. No, I know what you're saying. It's like I wouldn't be running off my ego, but I know there'd be some level of my spiritual ego at play if I was to create a system for everybody. Because right off the bat, I'm all about my trans-dualism, and I really do believe that that there's a biological component to our beliefs. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to alter the neurostructure of our species itself. So I may not be fucking trying to genetically engineer my population, but I'm gonna be doing my damn best to fucking change the way their neurology is through fucking thought and philosophy.
I honestly don't think I'd even care that much. Like I say, as long as like I wouldn't seek to harm people more than necessary. But as I say, I would seek to ensure that whatever system is in place doesn't harm me and actually advantages me. That's my answer.
That's a very fucking good answer, and it's probably closer to the truth than anything else of what these systems actually are. I mean, look at how Stalin.
I
just
view that
crumbled.
question as literally the same as like the antinatalist question. I'm like, well, I can't fucking know until it fucking happens, man.
Now let's just say you're president of America now. No more Trump. What would you do?
That one always makes me laugh.
If I was president, mate, I'd give it back to Donald Trump because I'm enjoying that show.
That one always makes me laugh my ass off because here I am, like the mixture of like the pacifist energy and like the full on like genocidal extinction energy. And I'm like also like isolationary in the sense that you put that fucking power on me, I'm just gonna fucking shove it off my shoulders no matter how many times you fucking latch it onto me. So it would basically be I'm the president of a non-functional government because nobody's fucking worked with me and I'm not working with them.
No, but you're dictator now, right? Like they don't matter. They can be replaced. Look what Stalin did.
I'm the dictator, the Oz dictator, though. I'm the one that hide behind the curtain, but you know, you have to keep me behind the curtain because if you reveal it, then shit will happen. So it's like fuck.
No,
He's
you're
basically like
you're
some
like on
AI.
TV
He's not
giving
human.
speeches.
We can't talk to him. He can't talk to us. Fuck. Some
I think
proxy
you guys,
power bullshit.
I think you guys are right too. It's like, well, what can you actually do? Like, maybe we do almost have perfect systems, except the whole debt bullshit.
I love how you're like,
Except
maybe
that.
we do have the perfect systems, except for entropy and all that.
Except for nepotism and all the other
I know
problems.
those damn car engines, they're always fucking breaking down and shit, man. They fucking cost us an arm and a leg. What bullshit is that?
Yeah, the complete monotony of it. Yeah.
Oh, that was fucking funny, baby.
Dreary-ass existence. But, like, how would we do it better?
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't think we can.
No.
I like I say, whatever. There's no system which is going to be better or worse. They just all end up going the same direction. A few people benefit, the rest of the people fucking just go for the scraps. That's how it always is. That's how it'll always be. And we have to understand that that this rise of the middle class during the 20th century, that's just a blip in the graph. It's just tiny. It's a dead cat bounce. That's not the trend. The general trend is just a flat line of feudalism.
Yeah, exception, not the rule.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's not kid us. I think that's one of the worst. No, that sounds dramatic. It's a terrible thing. Like my generation, Gen X, we were taught that the age of kings and queens is over, and we kind of prepared our lives on that basis. Just fucking nonsense. It's not true.
Oh God, that's a sad way to teach a generation.
Yeah, but we were taught.
That's what we were taught.
Millennials were taught it, I think.
Right.
That's like teaching gun safety by telling somebody, well, if there's never a gun around you, you don't have to worry about it. It's like, fuck.
I don't think there was any ulterior motive. I just think that's people just believe because they were in that situation watching things get better.
There's an ulterior motive either. I'm just saying that's a god-awful way of teaching people. Don't ever expect the unexpected. That's like not a message to teach people.
But I mean, if things like AI develop, the whole concept of wealth is going to change. Everything is. But again, this whole AI thing, it could be being overplayed. There are physical restraints like how much water it needs and how much space it needs and how much power it needs. It could just end up being that physics isn't good enough, or our physics isn't good enough to.
Restraints.
Yeah,
and also there are like many different minds involved, and some of them are competing against what we would view as the bad guys.
Well, basically, the way I see it is AI is
So-
not going to go anywhere unless we start using base 3 and up computing or use quantum computing. You know, this whole fucking regular binary fucking AI computing, it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, I think
It's a
the
fucking
main
fad.
the main concern is, which I think is the most important, is that unfortunately we're now locked into an AI arms race, and we can't just quit. We have to keep going.
Yeah.
We're now locked in.
Exactly.
And because if we quit, if we just go, oh, this is going to be bad, then bad people are just going to keep on developing it, or people we
It's all
consider
about who
bad.
gets. I've said that before as well. It's about who gets the keys of the kingdom. I think
Right.
we're in the most dangerous time in humanity in terms of not from AI, but from human political human endeavors to get there first. Geopolitically, I think it's a very dangerous time because America's isn't going to want China to get there first. China isn't going to want America to get there first.
Yeah. But even consider like Iran, Afghanistan. I mean, let's not underestimate these states. I mean, we can all look at them as primitive states,
I mean,
or
they are.
whatever.
Yeah.
North Korea is one.
Who knows what that chap in Saudi Arabia is thinking? You know.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, he formed some alliance with Pakistan lately, didn't he?
Yep. And India
alliance,
as well.
yeah.
I mean, it's not like the West has the monopoly on human intelligence to create this stuff. Not at all. So we just have to keep going. We're locked in, whether we like it or not.
You don't actually hear about the Indian Secret Service, but I imagine they're pretty good now. I imagine they're like, do you know that there are bods involved in Silicon Valley and stuff? I mean, a lot of the major corporations in the world are run by Indian CEOs. You know that?
Yeah, there's a lot of nepotism in that regard.
Oh yeah, tons of nepotism over in India. Like hell, the classism.
But not just in. I mean, it's the same in Japan as well, in China. I mean, you know, of course, the countries are run by their nationals. The companies are run by nationals.
I'm just saying
of
that.
course.
I'm saying a lot of American
that's involved with that
major
too.
American companies are being run by a lot of major Western companies by Indian CEOs now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I mean, maybe. I know Google is and Microsoft. Okay, all right.
The prime minister, the last prime minister we had, he's an accountant or something. Isn't he Indian?
Yeah, he was Hindu, right?
Indian heritage. I think so. Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, I think he's definitely Hindu. I think he's Hindu as well. I can't recall exactly.
I think he might have
semantic
said he was
struggle
Christian
with
just to be prime minister,
Indians
probably.
and Hinduism.
But he came up through Goldman Sachs, you know. So Keir Starmer, though. I mean, Keir Starmer. Come on, guys, you can do better than him.
Isn't the head of the World Bank an Indian
Wait,
as
I thought
well?
you were British. You're not British?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm a Kiwi.
Oh, fuck. Why didn't I pick up on that? My bad.
You're a Kiwi.
Right. Like,
you ever fiddle around with that kava?
Read your list here.
How dare you make
So
fun about
the CEO of T-Mobile is Indian. The CEO
what's his? I want to hear his take on I want all of your take on Keir Starmer. Two-tier king.
He's a wanker. He's just a fucking dickhead.
Who's this? Sorry,
Keir Starmer.
The prime minister.
What a pusillanimous piece of shit. That's all he is. He's a wanker.
Be careful, they might come and get you. You know, and it's illegal to
come
say
and get
things
me.
in England now.
I might get refused entry if I try to get into the
English,
UK.
man. They're gonna go all the way to New Zealand.
Hey, listen, guys, listen. CEO of Google, CEO of Microsoft, CEO of YouTube, CEO of World Bank Group, CEO of Palo Alto Networks, CEO of NetApp, of Arista Networks, CEO of Adobe, CEO of IBM, CEO of Novartis, CEO of Micron Technologies, Honeywell, CEO of Flex, let me go on, Wayfair, CEO of Wayfair, CEO of Chanel, CEO of Cadence Design Systems, CEO of Cognition,
Wait,
CEO of Scala.
Are the most profitable?
Yes, They're all
great.
Indians, yes. CEO Vertex.
So,
CEO
the
Vertex
next time I hear someone,
Pharmaceuticals.
the next time I hear someone rage about the Jews, I'll be going, well, actually,
Actually, the Indians.
yeah.
Gotta look at the
They got in
Indians.
by the back door. They got in by the back door. Honestly, that's no. There must be some kind of Indian Secret Service now because they have their fingers in all the pies. So I'm sure the government
Of
is
course
making the
there
most
is.
of
Oh
that.
no, that's no
Yeah.
the freaking president of the World Bank is Indian.
The IMF.
Fucking A. I can talk
Oh, we're
about
just plebs. We have no fucking idea what's going on.
I, for one, would like to say I like curry very much, and if you want me to do a job for you now and again, I will. My new
Oh
Indian
wow, how
yoga
English of
masters.
you, DNW. You don't like masala, you like curry. Wow.
I love.
Well,
all
actually,
Indian
it's
food.
funny you should say that. I do like chai masala. Have you heard of that? I've been drinking that lately.
Yeah.
Because there was some
No,
there was some
I'm just
chai
referring to
masala
the-
tea bags in my local supermarket, and I tried it, and I love it. It's really nice. Now it's
I'm
it's
just
tea
referring
bag, so
to
it's not
the-
exactly. Sorry.
Oh, I was just referring to that its technical term is actually marsala. You know, the anglicized English term is curry. So
Oh, right,
curry is
okay.
actually a generalized catch-all that was,
Well, look,
made popular
we
by the
we
English.
gave them curry for their words. They gave us bungalow. Apparently, bungalow is an Indian word. So there you go.
That sounds like a fair trade.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, but doesn't that just say that the Indians are the most profitable if they're all CEOs? Like, don't you just become the CEO if you're like good at running the business?
Well,
I
probably
think
the
it's
most
an
mercenary.
exception,
And
not the
there is
rule.
also nepotism involved as well.
Oh yeah, definitely an episode.
But
Because
But
that's the
again,
thing.
it just comes down to the same old thing. Again, people just organize systems to benefit themselves. That's how it works.
Well, look
don't
up
think the
immigration
Indians
rates
started
of
off, like,
Indians.
winning.
If you look up immigration rates of Indians, Indian immigrants coming over to the America, Ellis Island, that kind of thing. Indians have some of the lowest rates of immigration. It seems that most of the world historically has been like, you are not allowed to come over here if you're Indian. It's really, I haven't been able to, discover what's behind that yet, but I've noticed this.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't get it. They'll
There's a lot in
they'll go like,
England.
okay, we can have blacks and Asians come over here, but no Indians. And I'm
Oh.
like, where the fuck did that come from?
Who's
Like,
saying no
they stayed.
Indians?
I think they stayed in the Commonwealth. They stayed in like the UK, and they went to Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
Oh,
But
yeah.
also, don't forget that a lot of them were very poor. They might have even been too poor to travel. I mean, that's the brutal fact back then.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying about
also,
Yep.
It was a colonial. It was controlled colonially, and I suppose it's sad to say this, but they were probably viewed as valuable, and they were used as like servants, indentured servants abroad. And they were brought. If they wanted to emigrate, they were probably told, come to South Africa, come to Uganda, come to Kenya, because they brought them to Africa because they knew how to work the tea leaf plantations. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why they went there. And the same, I believe, for being as well. They were brought there for that reason because of their expertise. But I don't know much about American mainland.
Yep. Interesting stuff.
But the oldest written religion in the world, Hinduism, and still practiced.
The oldest written religion. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Didn't know that.
Apparently, it's the oldest. I don't know whether that's still practiced written religion. I don't know.
I think it is, isn't it? It's.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if there's another like scratch on a rock somewhere that was religion.
Right,
Well,
okay.
supposedly
but
Zoroastrian influenced all of the major religions, including Hinduism. It's just that Zoroastrianism's Zoroastrianism's so old, and that there's such a lack of historical and written evidence.
Isn't that the Iranian? Isn't that the Iranian one? No.
Yeah.
It's more that Indo-Iranian one. Yeah.
But I thought they were Iranians that basically they moved to India. I don't know, hundreds of years ago, didn't they? Because they got away from being what do you call it?
Persecuted.
Persecuted. Yeah.
Yep. Wouldn't surprise me. There's a crap ton of history
But
regarding
I thought that
persecution.
however you say it, that Zoroaster. How do you say it?
Zoroastrian.
Yeah, I thought it was a real kind of Iranian kind of centric fucking religion. Like it was a bit like Judaism, but for the Iranians, it was like
I think it is.
all about
it's more Persian. It's more correctly Persian.
Yeah, Persian. That's what I mean. Yeah, because it was before Iran. Obviously, it was Persian. But it was basically like a Persian version of Judaism. It's like they are the chosen people, and it's all about Persia. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
From some guy finding mushrooms and cow dung, and that's where everything began.
Yeah, yeah. I've been reading a little bit about Terence McKenna lately. God Almighty, he was off his rocker, but he was off his rocker in many ways, but he was interesting.
What do you mean he was off his rocker?
Well, he thought the fucking mushrooms were talking to him. I'm sorry, come on.
I don't think he thought they were talking to him like a schizophrenic thought he was talking to him.
All right.
I think you might be reading too literal.
Okay. Actually, there were, as I say, he wasn't completely bananas. Some of his stuff was interesting. Like he was doing the kind of whole Noam Chomsky thing, wasn't he? Talking about how we have to, culture isn't your friend, and you have to practice culture hygiene, so you don't you're not brainwashed by media, etc., etc. So,
crikey, that sounds like Lanza. That's getting into his territory.
Really?
Because he was against culture.
No, yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised because surprised if
McKenna's
I think it's interesting because I reckon, seeing as Terence McKenna was saying that, he literally said culture is not your friend. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where a lot of the Americans get it from, because he was very big in America, wasn't he? So
he's only got bigger over the years.
I wouldn't be surprised if people who say that kind of thing, it came from there.
Came from him.
He's bigger than Timothy Leary.
Yeah, Timothy Leary. Well, Timothy Leary was a more kind of. Was he before him or after him?
Timothy Leary was before him, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I was thinking because I was thinking he influenced McKenna, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm fairly positive that was the case.
But the thing about Leary was he wasn't a very good orator, was he? He wasn't as basically.
Yeah, I think it's because he came from more of the academic background.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just doing a little search on him. Is he the guy that did the LSD experiments? Like he kicked all that stuff off. Like he did it himself.
He basically he went on a trip. He wrote a book when he was like 25 or something. He went on a trip to the Amazon with his brother, and he just basically started fucking ingesting all these crazy shit like mushrooms and fungi and all that. And he probably tried DMT or what's that shit they do where they lick a toad or something? Ayahuasca, is it?
No, that would be 5-MeO. Licking.
Yeah, he basically wrote a book about what he experienced and what his brother experienced and all the messages they were getting, and then he made his whole life about that. Actually, I mean, in fairness to him, he did make some good predictions about the future and the internet and what it's going to do. I mean, but then again, I suppose anyone could see it coming, really.
Okay, so he's the turn on, tune in, drop out guy.
Yes, that's him. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he was the one that was.
Okay.
He died quite young. He died in his like early 50s or something. He died quite young, but he had a very strange voice. He spoke like this, I tell you who I discovered recently, Sage. You might know about him. What's his name now? If I can remember, I only literally discovered him the other day. Manly P. Hall, is it? Manly Palmer Hall? Do you know that guy?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That guy, that guy seems to be. I'm surprised I never heard his name before. This guy, he seems to have the most writing, the most lectures, the most books on weird shit that has ever existed. He goes on about the occult. He has all his views on philosophy as well. But that guy, I don't know. I have to look at him, but he started off very young, didn't he? He started off at 18 or something, giving lectures in LA or somewhere. and he had very strange views on reality. A lot of it to do with, from what I'm gathering so far, symbology. You know, he was all about symbols and the effect of symbols on reality and on our minds and how we orient and move around reality and how we're influenced. But I'd say you know a lot about him, do you, Sage?
A little
P.
bit.
Manly
I know
Hall.
a little bit more about Neville Goddard.
Or Manly P. Hall, sorry.
Yeah, no, I know a little bit about Manly P. Hall. I've been following a little bit more on Neville Goddard on his stuff.
Actually, it was Piggy. You mentioned today Freemasonry and stuff. I think P. Manly Hall is the man to go to because he spoke a lot about that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think I've heard that name before, Manly P. Hall. He's usually
Manly P. Hall, sorry.
Freemason.
Yep, he wrote a book called The Lost Keys of Freemasonry.
Huh.
I mean, the guy wrote 200 books or something crazy like that. Is that true?
Damn.
He just like kept writing all his life.
Oh, he made a crap ton of books.
Yeah. When did he die? He lived quite old, did he?
He lived until 89 years old. Died in 1990.
Okay. An interesting individual. Is he? Would you say he's on? Is he kind of hermetic? Is that his kind of view on reality? Hermeticism. Like they kind of
Rosie
opposite to
Christian's.
Gnosticism.
Rosie Christian's. Was it? Wow. That was one of them. The other one was. I think it's. What is it called? It's called fuck.
Theosophy. I know the word you're saying. Yeah.
I think it was those two are the main ones with him.
Okay, well, I might look at him, but it just seems he's got so much. It's hard to know where to start with him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he seems to be someone who influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, it was one of the researchers that was in New called Bill Cooper. He brought him up once. I can remember him talking about him in a talk.
Yeah, you mentioned him before as well. Yeah, he's the guy that got taken out, right? Because he said 9/11 was an inside job or something, and he got taken out, right?
Well, I don't think it was because of that, but he did. He was the first one to mention.
Okay.
About 9/11 being an inside job, yeah. I
mean, I don't really have I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. I do think there's some weird shit happened that day, like the world. But you see, there's a lot of good debunking videos as well, you know. Well, I don't think we'll ever know for sure what went on or what actually happened, you know.
I've never seen. It's interesting you said that. I've never seen a good debunking video. Maybe you could.
I have. I've seen good debunking videos for all the, you know, all the videos about the planes being holographs and all that. I've seen them good ones about that.
Holographs?
I've also seen. Sorry,
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, some people have said that. Yeah, I've seen. I look. There are. It's a long time since I was into that shit. Like, as in, I watched videos and stuff. It's a long time because that's ancient history almost now, considering the way the world is. But yeah, there was a lot of debunking good videos at the time, you know.
Oh yeah, you want to find some good engineering and physics debunking videos.
Yeah, there was some engineers and stuff who came out and said it was all possible.
Because my goodness, that whole jet fuel does not melt steel beams permeated culture way too easily. Because I fucking, you know, like I understood where I was coming from. I believed in it when I was very young for a certain amount of period until I started, you know, understanding more about the physics and the chemistry, the engineering, how it all works together. I mean, you know, it's like, yeah,
there was a lot of lies being told as well.
Beams, but when you have an impact going 500 fucking miles an hour, yeah, it might cause a little bit more damage than the heat alone.
No.
There was a lot of lies being told. There was a lot of lies being told, like the passport falling out of the plane and stuff. That you know, these things didn't actually happen. I can't remember how it was debunked, but you know that they said that they found one of the hijackers' passports like a few blocks away. It had come out of the plane on impact.
Oh my
apparently
goodness.
That was bullshit. Apparently that was bullshit. But these were the types of lies that were going around, and people were quote.
that was the
How could a
government
fucking
evidence.
how could
Even if
anything?
that plane broke apart in midair, the sheer forces, in engagement in that situation would tear apart the fucking
I know,
passport
I know, I
papers.
know,
It would atomize those things.
I know.
It's
But
crazy.
it went into the building, a knife into butter anyway. So there was literally nothing on the outside, But yeah.
No, it was a crazy day. If you look up the first person killed during the attacks, it literally gives you 2 or 3 different emergency service members. One historical one will say, "Oh, it was this cop." Another one will say, "Oh, it was this firefighter." It's like it's wild. The semantics and the how we organize how we order and categorize systems of order. Okay, is the first person that died when the impact, the first person that died from debris, like what is the first thing? It's crazy.
It was a fucked up day. It was a fucked up day all around.
Oh
The Allah
yeah,
Akbar pilot. Yeah.
a fucked up day all around. That's a good summary.
That's it. And on that note, I think, guys, I got to go, I'm afraid. But you're welcome to stay on backstage if you want to continue the conversation. But I'm going to end the live now. So thanks to everybody who tuned in. And we'll come back again